Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. The Awakening of the Heavens. Unlock the Whitebeard template at the beginning. Chapter 41. System, I love you. Grinning, Sumo then continued to ask, how many points are needed to get started with this martial art? Depending on the level, it takes 10,000 energy points to get started with high-end intermediate level. The words fell. Sumo's mouth twitched and he looked at the remaining 3,000 points. Well, still poor. No matter how much I earn, it feels like it's not enough. Yes, this time when you go out, you must loot and kill enough. Thinking fiercely, Sumo picked up another martial arts skill. Running thunder movement technique, low level and high grade. A body method. He shook his head, and it turned out to be nothing compared to the principles. But on the market, it is definitely regarded as a noble martial skill, and many awakened people in the silver and gold realm are rushing to get it. But now he has the Wandering Dragon Step, and the products produced by the system, even the low-level high-grade ones, are more exquisite than the average mid-level low-grade ones. The most important thing is that he has reached a small level of cultivation and does not need other movement techniques for the time being, unless they are advanced ones. Leave it to Takeo or Dae. Although Cheng Wuxiang fights as a beast, an awakened beast with human thinking can also practice martial arts. There are many people who can use the body of a beast to perform martial arts if they know how to use it skillfully. After collecting the things on the ground again and consolidating his strength, Sumo went back to the bedroom to rest. On the second day, Cheng Wuxiang arrived outside Villa 10 early. At this time, this guy had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and his fighting spirit was high. He didn't even need Sumo to remind him, and he came in advance. Hearing the doorbell, Sumo stood up and opened the door. Takeo, have you and your special recruits teacher passed by? Cheng Wuxiang grinned and said. He said that all dangerous areas including the Abyss territory are not peaceful now, so don't go out for the time being, but I have made up my mind and he can't stop me, but the teacher did give me something to save my life. Sumo nodded. Then he was stunned. Should he also tell Yan Yun that he is going out to the wild and then cheat him into something to save his life? Although there are some things given by Feng Xiaoyao. But of course the more life-saving things the better. Just thinking about it. Didi, Didi, Didi. Dad, the call is coming. Dad, the call is coming. It was Yan Yun calling. Taking out the phone, Sumo clicked on it and answered, Teacher. Brother, sister is so proud of you. I was so excited last night that I couldn't sleep after learning that you became the chief student. As always, it started with a flirty talk, and Sumo wanted to die. But soon, the sand sculpture teacher returned to his seriousness. I heard Fei Yan said you are going to the Abyss territory. Sumo nodded. HMPH. I know your character, so it's useless to try to persuade you. I've already asked Teacher Lu to give you something. On the other end of the phone, Yan Yun's tone gradually became solemn and said, remember, you can only be in the Abyss maze and cannot enter the Abyss territory. Do you understand? If you have any shortcomings, don't tell the principal that he will cause trouble for me. Your sister, I'm going to die of grief. The first half of the sentence sounded fine, but Sumo chose to ignore the second half. I understand, teacher. Thank you for your concern. I will pay attention. Well, my brother is so good, sister. After hanging up the phone and not giving this woman a chance to flirt, Sumo turned to look at Cheng Wuxiang. Let's go. At this time, Shangguan Feiyan came downstairs at some point, looked at Sumo and said softly, do you need me to accompany you? There was concern in his voice. Senior sister, if you come, I won't be able to train you. Don't worry, I will pay attention. After saying that, Sumo took Cheng Wuxiang and left directly. On the way, Cheng Wuxiang said in admiration, Brother Mo, how can I be so charming like you? Walking in front, Sumo didn't even look back. Don't be a licking dog. Hearing this, Cheng Wuxiang's body trembled. At this moment, he seemed to have realized something. After taking the life-saving items entrusted by Yan Yun with Teacher Lu, Sumo and Cheng Wuxiang walked out of the grand school gate. I have to say that although Yan Yun teased him with all his dirty words, the things he gave him were really on point. Not to mention the exclusive signal crystals, there are also some one-time attack items that can withstand third-level monsters. Too pampering, right? It seems that the Yan family is not much inferior to the Shengguan family. It is an ancient family. It is a behemoth that has been passed down since the extraordinary era. This specially recruited teacher of mine seems to be the apple of my eye first. He, Su Mo, really doesn't want to be regarded as a pretty boy. Shaking his head, Su Mo stopped a hover taxi. Master, base station. Soon, the hover car rushed to the outbound station. When they arrived at the place, Cheng Wushang was immediately shocked by the scene in front of him. So many awakened people who are going out. Doesn't it mean that things are not peaceful recently? I saw a sea of people in front of the station, all of them awakened people carrying alloy weapons and wearing combat uniforms. Some have powerful auras, while others look weak. But there are not many students. In the past, students from various universities would often go out to hunt monsters for points while practicing at the same time. But now there are very few of them. They are all individual awakened people who are trying to make a living, or small alliances of temporarily formed awakened people. Of course, there are also many land reclamation teams from various major forces. Although it is not peaceful, most people still choose to fight for the sake of cultivation and life. Su Mo was also shocked by the scene before him. This exit point alone has more awakened people than all of Tianai City combined, right? The Demon City has countless exit points scattered around the city. Let's go. When they arrived at the alloy armored vehicle leaving the station, a Silver Realm officer began to inspect it. When he saw the awakening certificates of Su and Mo, he was suddenly shocked. Students from Shanghai University are still specially recruited freshmen. Rare, he actually met two S-class monsters. But after being surprised, he frowned. Haven't major schools recently received messages from their military? It's best for students not to go out, it's dangerous. It's a good thing that this Demon City University directly lets 2S level special admission students go out to practice. Is the special enrollment already a big deal? Or are those teachers drifting away? If there are any shortcomings in this, it will not only be a loss for the school, but also a loss for all mankind. As a member of the military, he knows how tense the current human situation is. The 9 demon-suppressing armies are fighting in an extremely cruel way in order to regain the human territory. If even the hope for the future behind us is gone, then human beings are really not far from despair. Thinking about it, the officer said, "2 classmates, does your teacher know that you are going out?" Su Mo nodded calmly. ... The officer was silent. In the end, he could only tell Su and Mo to pay more attention, and ask no more questions. After all, the school's affairs are under the school's control, and the military doesn't interfere much. 3 hours later, the armored vehicle arrived outside a dense forest shrouded in black fog with no end in sight. 100 meters ahead, there was a dark hole that looked like the mouth of a giant beast's blood plate, at least 1,000 meters wide. Here is the Abyss Labyrinth closest to the human fortress before reaching the Abyss territory. I heard that it was an underground maze created by a king-conferring warrior with Earth-type superpowers while slaying monsters. As the monsters wandered in, over the years, a maze of demon caves where monsters lived was formed. Following a large team of awakeners, Su and Mo walked silently behind them. Half an hour later, arriving at a dark forest at the top of the maze, there was a dark wind and mist surrounding it. Before Su and Mo could fully adapt to the deep environment around them, they were sneak attacked by an early-stage first-order black-scaled snake. "Brother Mo, you don't need to take action to deal with this little snake, let me do it." Cheng Wushang grinned and immediately transformed into a bloody golden lion with a roar. The nearly 3-meter-tall domineering body appeared, with a golden stream of light, and roared before killing the black-scaled snake. Cheng Wushang was very fast, and in a few leaps with his domineering body, he had already jumped into the sky above the black-scaled snake. Aha! While he was in the air, a golden claw shot directly towards the head of the black-scaled snake. PFF'd. The black-scaled snake didn't even have a chance to react. It was torn apart on the spot, with blood flying, and it broke into pieces and fell to the ground. After recovering his body, Cheng Wushang was wrapped again in the combat uniform he spent a lot of money to buy. He walked towards Su Mo with a smile. "Brother Mo, you don't need to take action against low-level monsters like this from now on, just let me deal with them." Su Mo fell silent, with a look of pain in the corners of his eyes, and looked at the miserable black-scaled snake in an incomprehensible way. He wanted to say to Cheng Wushang, "Let the eldest brother come, just call 666. Gone. A dozen energy points were just gone. If Cheng Wushang takes action against all subsequent low-level monsters, how can he earn energy points? No matter how small the mosquito is, it is still meat. Ding. Start loading the team mode. Ding. Team mode is loading. 1%, 0.8%, 0.17%. Sudden. Just when he wanted to tell Cheng Wushang the pros and cons, the cold voice of the system came. Sumo was stunned. Team mode. Host. After turning on the team mode, as long as your designated team member kills a creature, you will also receive energy points. The proportion of energy points obtained depends on the level of the team mode. The level of the team mode that will be opened is at level 1, you will get 10% of the energy points, and the number of people in the team is 3. The level of the team mode requires energy points to upgrade. Currently, the open level is level 2, which requires 10,000 energy points. The proportion of the level 2 team mode obtained from the players is 20%. The number of team members is 6, and the team when the level of the team mode increases to a certain level, the team members will also receive corresponding benefits. Listening to the introduction of the system, Sumo just wanted to look up to the sky and laugh wildly. Cool, this team mode is really a timely help. With this mode, the problem just now will no longer be an issue, and the speed of collecting energy points in the future will no longer be an issue. It will skyrocket. As long as he designates Cheng Wushang and subsequent team members as team characters, he will continue to improve the level of the team mode. Are there still shortages of energy points? It is definitely more efficient than killing monsters by yourself. At this moment, Sumo could suddenly understand the mood of those evil bosses. Of course, he is not a black-hearted boss. The subsequent team members are all people whom Sumo trusts, as long as they level up. These team members will also benefit, making it a win-win situation. Ding. The team mode has been loaded. The current level is level 1, the feedback ratio is 10%, and the team size is 3 members. Ding. The host only needs to make contact with the target, and the system will automatically generate a team relationship. Hearing this, Sumo's mouth gradually became perverted, and he stepped forward and patted Cheng Wushang on the shoulder. Great, well done. This evil smile is very strange. Coupled with his handsome appearance, he will definitely make the fans of the senior school girls scream. Cheng Wushang was a little flattered by being patted on the shoulder. Although his anus tightened subconsciously, he still smiled. He was a little overwhelmed to be praised by a monster genius like Brother Mo. Very good. Next, I must work harder to slay monsters and let Brother Mo continue to praise me, haha. Ding. Cheng Wushang has been listed as a team member. System sound drops. Sumo seemed to feel that he had established a wonderful relationship with Cheng Wushang, as if he could always determine the latter's location. Suddenly, he thought of an interesting question. System, can I bring in some awesome people? If I encounter someone with the level of a principal, can you join in? In this case, it will definitely be more effective. Ding. The character must be lower than or equivalent to the host's cultivation level. Those who exceed it will not be able to join the team. Hearing this, Sumo nodded. Sure enough, this kind of bug cannot be exploited. Without thinking any more, he and Cheng Wushang immediately dissected the black-scaled snake. The scales and gallbladder could all be sold for money. After a while, the two set off again. Although the uppermost level of this abyss maze is underground, it is actually not small. At a glance, you can't see the end at all. The fog obscures everything, and from time to time there are screams of monsters. If you are timid, you will definitely be scared to death. Of course, for Sumo, who has the ability to see and understand, this is just a superficial cover-up. After a while, he led Cheng Wushang to find a mid-level first-order ape monster covered in pitch-black scales. Looking at Cheng Wushang, Sumo smiled and said, "Are you sure?" In the middle stage of the first order, they are equivalent to human beings with 4 to 6 stars of black iron. If it is an awakened person with ordinary talent, it will definitely be difficult to match. But Cheng Wushang is an S-level talent monster. Although he is only 4-star, it shouldn't be difficult. Brother Mo, do you underestimate me too much? Cheng Wushang walked towards the grinning demon ape with a confident smile. I have killed late first order monsters. Finished. Roar. He directly transformed into a crazy blood golden lion, with a pair of bloody eyes shining with blood, and his hair shining golden, and he killed it without saying a word. Low-level monsters have no intelligence. When the demon ape saw Cheng Wushang rushing toward him, he slapped his chest and roared. He raised a pair of iron fists and jumped up. However, facing Cheng Wushang's sonorous claws. Clang. After the sound of gold and iron clashing, the demon ape's iron fists were beaten to pieces, and he fell down with a miserable howl. Cheng Wushang gained the upper hand and refused to spare the ape. He suddenly descended and killed again with his sharp claws. Sumo looked on and nodded secretly. I have to say that Cheng Wushang is indeed very strong. He was sure that this guy definitely didn't use his full strength during the friendly match. If he unleashed all his power, Li Tianyi would definitely not be his match. The crazy blood golden lion is indeed a legendary beast. Ho! Die! After another fierce fight, Cheng Wushang found the right moment and pierced the demon ape's heart with his sharp claws, slapping and swinging. The demonic ape flew out on the spot, dying beyond hope. Ding! Cheng Wushang killed the mid-level first-order magic armored ape and gained 3 points of energy. Really gain energy points? Sumo's eyes flashed with ecstasy. A mid-level first-level monster can obtain about 30 energy points. At 10%, it is exactly 3 points. Ha ha, not bad, although what is obtained now is a bit small. As long as it is promoted to the second-level team in the future, it will even be higher. Then join the team members one after another. The effect will definitely increase exponentially. In a good mood, Sumo no longer hesitated, went all out to see and hear, and led Cheng Wushang on a continuous killing spree. This time, he himself no longer held back, and quickly killed even low-level monsters. Only when encountering a large number of monsters will the two of them fight side by side. At this moment, Cheng Wushang truly saw Sumo's strength, and he never stopped talking about 666. Just now, he saw his elder brother with his own eyes. With one blow, 2 peak-level monsters of the late First Order were killed on the spot. You know, that is equivalent to the peak of the 9-star Black Iron for humans. Yes, Brother Mo is really awesome. After killing a few more late-level First Order monsters instantly, Cheng Wushang swallowed. Brother Mo, you are too fierce. He now has no doubt that Brother Mo can even kill second-level monsters. Even a low-level Silver Awakener can't do this as easily as chopping vegetables and melons, right? Awesome. My Mexican brother is definitely the coolest freshman in this class and all universities. Yesterday I heard about that ruthless man with 2 powers. In front of my brother Mo, he is just a scumbag. At this moment, Cheng Wushang completely became Sumo's fan. Either it's blowing, or it's on the way to blowing. Facing Cheng Wushang's admiring eyes, Sumo smiled lightly and said, "It's okay, let's go, clean up and continue." Good. Cheng Wushang's tiger body trembled, and at this moment, he realized it again. I remembered something someone else said, invisible pretense is the most deadly. Brother Mo, he must be this kind of person, right? For the next period of time, Cheng Wushang followed Sumo, constantly killing monsters. It wasn't until he met an early second-level monster that he realized what Brother Mo meant when he said, "It's okay." The monster in the early stage of the second level was instantly killed by a knife after spitting out the cannonball. That's right, just after they met and spat out one of his elemental attacks, Sumo drifted close to him for a second. Well, it's really not bad. Even if Sumo showed stronger strength now, Cheng Wushang wouldn't find it strange at all. Because he has become numb and has become a tool who can only shout 666. A few hours later again, Cheng Wushang, who had killed a late-stage first-order monster in a fierce battle, was already panting. He was not as physically fit as Sumo, who could last for nearly an afternoon and dusk. He gritted his teeth and persisted. In order not to let Brother Mo look down on him, he really tried his best and killed nearly dozens of animals. The monster. Seeing this, Sumo also stopped and looked at Cheng Wushang with satisfaction. "Thank you for your hard work, Wushang. Let's do this for today." He had seen Cheng Wushang's performance for the past half day. It can be said that this young man with thick eyebrows and big eyes not only has amazing talent, but also has extremely exaggerated perseverance. I can definitely compete with my previous self, that fierce energy. Not a moment later, Sumo found a relatively secluded dark cave. As soon as Cheng Wushang entered, he lay on the ground and gasped for air. Sweating profusely, Sumo took out a bottle of drinking water from the storage ring and handed it to him. Thank you, Brother Mo. After thanking him, the guy poured it directly into his mouth. Sumo sat cross-legged on the ground, looked at him, and said with a smile, Takeo, I told you to rest before, but you insisted on holding on. Now you're fine, you can't even stand up anymore. Cheng Wushang took a deep breath, regained his composure and looked at Sumo. I want to be as strong as you, Brother Mo. After saying that, his thick eyebrows and big eyes revealed his memories, and he said painfully, before the old beggar died, he hoped that I could become an upright man and protect my family and the country. The old beggar was killed by monsters because he was protecting others. At that time, I was as weak as an ant, and could only be protected by others, watching the people closest to me being devoured. From that moment on, I secretly swore that I would become strong and become the man the old beggar said, strong enough to I never want to experience that feeling of protecting the people I love most, so I have to work hard. Quote. Looking at the resolute young man, Sumo could only pat him on the shoulder and said with a firm tone, you can become an upright man, I, Sumo, can guarantee it. Brother Mo will be the first to become the strongest man standing upright, and I will follow closely. Looking at Cheng Wushang who suddenly became optimistic, Sumo also smiled, okay, we must become the strongest man. After saying that, Sumo took out some medicines to restore physical and spiritual energy, including source liquid to enhance physical fitness, and handed them to Cheng Wushang. You should have a good rest. You can take these things, I won't need them now. Cheng Wushang quickly refused to answer. How can this be done? This is yours, Brother Mo. Take it. Seeing Sumo's tough look, Cheng Wushang reluctantly accepted it, gritted his teeth and said, Brother Mo, I will never let you down. After saying that, he sat down cross-legged and started taking medicine. Sumo smiled with satisfaction, then closed his eyes and clicked on the system in his mind. Host. Sumo. Cultivation. Silver Realm 5-star. Superpower. Shocking Power S+, 3-color Domineering S. Martial Skills. 9 consecutive cuts with heavy sword low-level intermediate, Xiaocheng Wandering Dragon Step, high-level low-level, Xiaocheng. Energy Point. 10,890. Character Template. Edward Newgate character details and unlocking levels can be found in the template list by clicking on it. After half a day of hard work by him and Cheng Wushang, coupled with the remaining more than 3,000 energy points, the energy points finally barely reached 10,000 points. And it was good luck to have found a low-level monster nest, otherwise there would have been fewer. That's enough for 10,000 points. System, please help me get started with Tiangong Demonic Fist. After careful consideration, Sumo decided to learn this violent martial art first. Upgrading the team mode is not very effective so far. After all, the number of people is only Cheng Wushang, which is very limited. And if he learns Tiangong Demon Fist, it can become one of his trump cards. On balance, it is more practical to increase strength. Soon, with the initiation of the system, all the techniques for exerting force at the entrance level of Tiangong Demon Fist and the mystery of blending various powers poured into Sumo's mind. If he hadn't been afraid of disturbing Cheng Wushang, he would have just stood up and started performing some tricks. This kind of initiation, the feeling of being able to directly and completely control it, is so cool. Boom. At this time, a puff of breath suddenly came from the side. Sumo turned to look at Cheng Wushang. This guy had actually been promoted to Black Iron 5-star. Sure enough, only by constantly challenging one's limits in fighting can one break through the shackles. Looking at Cheng Wushang who opened his eyes, Sumo smiled and said, Congratulations, Wushang. Ha ha ha, Brother Mo's resources worked. It's because of your own hard work. Okay, let's take a rest after consolidating it. We will continue tomorrow. Copy that, Brother Mo. The next day, the two walked out of the cave early in the morning. After a night's rest, Cheng Wushang was already full of energy. It must be said that those who have awakened into beasts have strong resilience. Patting Cheng Wushang's shoulder, Sumo smiled and said, Today's goal is higher than yesterday. Can you withstand it? Hearing the meaning of Sumo's words, Cheng Wushang raised his eyebrows and grinned. Brother Mo, a man never said he couldn't withstand it, he must withstand it. Okay, let's set off. Half an hour later, the two of them had killed no less than 100 monsters. Of course, most of them were killed by Sumo. But Cheng Wushang is not bad either, his efficiency is definitely much better than yesterday. The two began to dissect quickly. They were all materials and could not be wasted. However, just when the two were about to take action, in Sumo's sight and color, a young team of awakeners approached the two of them, followed by a large number of monsters. Although Sumo was confused, he didn't want to throw away these materials, so he could only stand where he was and see what happened. After a while, the awakened team, whether intentionally or not, rushed out of the grass and found Sumo. Their eyes lit up. Without saying a word, he ran past the two of them, then ran separately to the left and right. And soon, the monster rushing behind them also rushed out of the grass. When they found Sumo, they rushed to kill them on the spot. Among them, there is actually a late second-order monster. Seeing this scene, Sumo picked up Cheng Wushang and ran away quickly. His eyes gradually became as cold as knives. He and Cheng Wushang were diverted from trouble. Cheng Wushang was very confused at the moment. He was carried on Sumo's shoulders, feeling the sharp cold wind blowing on both sides. Then he looked at the group of monsters behind him that looked like wolves and tigers, with blood-red and crazy eyes. He said unwillingly, Brother Mo, our materials. No matter how dull he is, he still knows that the two of them must have been diverted by man-made trouble. Grass. The team of awakeners who suddenly appeared dared to treat him and Brother Mo as stupid young men. Running quickly, Sumo said with an expressionless face, it's just some materials, let's go first, as for them, haha. A sneer revealed endless murderous intent. Sure enough, when you are in the wild, you not only have to be wary of monsters but also humans. In just that moment of hesitation, he and Cheng Wushang were tricked by the group of awakened people and fell into deep crisis. This is enough to show that the sinister nature of the human heart is 10 times and 100 times more dangerous than monsters. Feeling the killing intent on Sumo, Cheng Wushang couldn't help but shudder. This was the first time he saw Brother Mo looking like this. He raised his head and looked at the monsters behind him again. His thick eyebrows suddenly frowned. Brother Mo, it's a bit strange. The group of monsters behind us didn't stop devouring the monsters we killed. You know, for monsters, the flesh and blood of their companions they didn't even stop devouring the growth-devouring tonic. Sumo sneered and said, those awakened ones offended them, either because of the treasure, or because they killed the cub of the second-level monster in the lead. Their scales were touched, and these monsters naturally went crazy. From what he saw and heard, he also sensed this strange scene. Not a single monster stopped to devour the corpses, and they all followed the tiger monster that was at the peak of the second-order late stage and killed them crazily. In his eyes, it seemed like there were only human beings. Hearing this, Cheng Wushang became anxious. What should we do, Brother Mo? These monsters behind us look so fierce. The tall black and white demon tiger at the head gave him a suffocating feeling of death, which was much more terrifying than the second-level monsters he had encountered before. Moreover, there were no fewer than 10 second-level monsters and thousands of first-level monsters behind him. If he is caught up, Brother Mo doesn't know whether he will die or not, but he, Cheng Wushang, will definitely die. Takeo, wait until I put you down and you go follow that group of people. Remember, safety is the priority in everything. Don't be discovered. Wait until I come over to find you. Do you understand? Hearing Sumo's words, Cheng Wushang was stunned, and then his eyes widened. Brother Mo, do you want to stay? Sumo nodded calmly. Yes. Although it is said that they are diverting trouble to the east, why are these monsters behind them not sources of energy? If Cheng Wushang hadn't been by his side just now, fearing the danger of being swarmed by monsters, he would have stopped slaughtering the monsters long ago. After that, there is no rush to kill the awakened team. With knowledge and color, he would never let go even if he overturned the entire abyss maze. Kill. Sumo's words made Cheng Wushang shake his head violently. No, I can't let you take risks, Brother Mo. Don't worry, I'll be fine. If you stay, it will make it impossible for me to perform. Your task is to keep up with that group of people. Pay attention to yourself and try not to let them escape. Wait for me to come back. After saying that, Sumo threw Cheng Wushang directly towards the group of people who were running to the left. Then he turned around, and a white halo immediately appeared on the iron fist, and the power of spiritual energy and physical body crazily stimulated the shaking force. Buzz. The buzzing sound is constantly vibrating, and it is a power far beyond what it used to be. This wave should have a lot of energy points, right? Licking the corner of his mouth, Sumo punched out his iron fist. Click. The strange sound of glass breaking was immediately heard, and the thin cracks continued to spread in the space along his fist. 10 meters, 20 meters, 35 meters. It didn't stop completely until about 40 meters away. And the distance the shock force blasted from the front was more than 100 meters away. This time, it is definitely the largest space area and the largest impact distance since the earthquake fruit was used. Buzz buzz, boom. I saw the overwhelming group of monsters that were killing me, and the body that was slaying in midair was directly shattered into large pieces of flesh and blood. Only the late second-level peak demon tiger and several agile second-level monsters sensed the crisis early and jumped away in advance. But it was also affected, and blood overflowed crazily from his body, making him very embarrassed. Bang 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 bang. Countless monsters and dense forest trees were continuously shattered, turning into a sea of blood mixed with wood residue. On the ground, a dark ravine was plowed out 100 meters away, dozens of meters wide, and more than 1 meter deep. Smoke and dust billowed, and the vibrations continued. When the aftermath of this punch completely dissipated, a full fifth of the hundreds of monsters that passed along the way were directly killed with one punch. Ding! The host killed the mid-level First Order Force Lizard and obtained 28 points of energy. Ding! The host kills the late First Order Fire Ape and gets 50 energy points. Ding! The host killed the second-level Early Stage Magic Armored Ape and obtained 146 energy points. Ding! The host killed the late First Order. The dense sound of reminders immediately sounded in Sumo's mind, and it was so beautiful. Cool. Grinning, he no longer hesitated, held the alloy sword, displayed his weapon color, and rushed directly into the remaining monsters. Under full firepower, Sumo was like a god of war, wielding the guando. Blood was everywhere he passed, and no monster could block his blow. At the same time, a group of people stopped in a small mountain stream 10,000 meters away. It was the young awakened team that had reunited. After realizing that there were no monsters chasing them behind them, they regrouped. They are actually students from Linhai University in Shanghai, and are key students in their sophomore and junior years. Naturally, this trip was also for experience. And they were lucky enough to find a spirit-expanding spark. This spiritual expansion spark opens up a spiritual energy spring and can provide an elixir that has an 80% chance of being promoted to the Golden Realm. It is a precious elixir of intermediate quality. For this reason, they narrowly escaped death and escaped from the mouth of the devil tiger, and were hunted down crazily for this reason. Fortunately, I met 2 scapegoats, and now the crisis is finally over. A woman standing in the center of the crowd gasped and looked at the young man aside. Senior, wouldn't it be bad if we did this? Those 2 seem to be students too. When she said this, she didn't feel any guilt at all, and even had a smile on her lips. The rest of the awakened students on the side also laughed when they heard this. One of them, a girl with heavy makeup and a face like an internet celebrity, covered her mouth and joked, "Did you see it just now? When we rushed out, those 2 guys were still standing there in a daze. You're just in a daze there, you don't have any common sense in the wild, you deserve it." The young senior is the captain of this team. Hearing this, he smiled warmly. You can get the soul-expanding spark without hurting anyone. You are probably going to die laughing in your heart at this moment. Are you still pretending to be a virgin? Ha ha ha. A group of students, including the eccentric woman, immediately started laughing. On a rock about 10 meters away, Cheng Wushang gritted his teeth and looked at the group of people from Linhai University. He clenched his fists tightly. You bunch of fools. Just wait for me. If Brother Mo can come over, I will definitely kill you, you idiot. Who? Just when Cheng Wushang whispered, he was in Linhai University's awakening team. A short young awakened person suddenly shouted loudly and looked in the direction of the rock where Cheng Wushang was. No, there are reconnaissance awakeners. On the rock, Cheng Wushang's expression changed drastically. He was careless. He actually forgot such an important thing. A team of awakeners must have this type of auxiliary awakeners. Without saying a word, Cheng Wushang transformed into a bloody golden lion and ran away desperately. Below, Captain, he is one of the two people just now. When the young captain heard this, his face darkened, he quickly ducked and chased after him. The other students looked at the short young man. Are you sure you are one of those two people? How could they face such monsters? The short young man snorted coldly. My superpower is AB level hearing amplification. No matter how small the sound is within 10 meters, I can roughly hear it. It was just because I heard this guy's laughter that I brought him. That's where you're going. The words fell. The girl with heavy makeup looked cold and said, then catch up. That guy must have heard the conversation we just had. The news about the soul expansion spark must not be revealed. Although we will go back to school soon, we must be just in case. As she said that, the girl's eyes were cold, and she followed the pace of the young captain and chased after him. The other people looked at each other and quickly caught up. In the dense forest, Cheng Wushang ran with all his strength, his 3-meter-tall golden domineering body constantly jumping on the thick treetops. The speed is faster than the ordinary black iron 9 stars. However, he only has 5 stars of black iron, even for such a legendary beast. It can't be compared to the silver 5-star young man behind him who has super speed. Turning away from the young man approaching behind him, Cheng Wushang cursed. I've already blocked a knife for you, what else do you want? Behind him, the young captain could no longer listen to Cheng Wushang's words. He looked at the former's golden and domineering body, his eyes widened. Crazy blood golden lion. He had read the history books, so he recognized this legendary beast at a glance. The young man in front of me turned out to be an S-class awakened beast turn type, and a crazy-blooded golden lion, the king of beasts. Etc. Yesterday, there was news from a student at Magic City University that one of the specially recruited freshmen was a monster with a bloody golden lion. And it is impossible for so many such talents to appear at the same time. Could it be? Thinking about it, his heart beat suddenly. They actually mistook the special admissions students of Shanghai University of Science and Technology as fools. The young man almost fainted at this time. If Modu University knew about it, the president of their Linhai University would be embarrassed if he came forward. No, don't let anyone know about this. If necessary. Shaking his head violently, the young man's eyes gradually became crazy, filled with murderous intent. Without saying a word, he activated all his psychic powers, used his speed powers, and got close to Cheng Wushang again. No, if I were promoted to the Silver Realm, I would turn around and kill you without saying a word. Not only was he tricked, but he was also hunted down by the person who tricked him afterwards. Cheng Wushang vomited. But at this moment, he could only run with all his strength. Otherwise, he won't even have the chance to see Brother Mo for the last time, and he will definitely regret it for the rest of his life. Gone. Bad luck. If I had known earlier, I should have listened to Brother Mo and put safety first and not get so close. Die. In the end, Cheng Wushang was still close to his body, and the alloy sword in the young man's hand slashed down from above. The sharp whistling sound of the air being sliced made Cheng Wushang's hair stand on end, and he hurriedly twisted his body to attack with his claws. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere, and although his claws were intact, Cheng Wushang's 3-meter-tall body was shot directly into the dense forest. Boom! It hit the ground, throwing up a large amount of dust. It hurts so much. Cheng Wushang struggled to stand up and waved his sharp claws, although there was no trace of it. But it was numb and painful, and I felt like I was losing consciousness. Swish, swish, swish. At this time, the Linhai University awakening team chasing after him surrounded Cheng Wushang. Everyone looked at Cheng Wushang with expressions of shock. Captain, is this the blood-crazy golden lion? The yin and yang woman opened her mouth wide, the awakener with S-level talent. The young man nodded solemnly. It's the new special admissions student of Shanghai University this year, the crazy-blooded golden lion. Hearing this group of key students from Linhai University first showed jealous and envious expressions. But the next moment, his eyes showed murderous intent. Naturally, they understood the seriousness of the matter and must not let Cheng Wushang escape. Otherwise, everyone here will die. Either he will be punished to death by the Demon City University, or he will be avenged to death by the monster in front of him in the future. Taking a deep breath, the young captain looked down at Cheng Wushang. Kill him, and then go find another person. This is the end, and we can't look back. You know. As he finished speaking, a young man with a very strong physique stood up. His limbs gradually swelled, and then began to grow thick black-brown hair. Eventually, he became more than 2 meters taller, and his limbs actually turned into bare paws. Bare legs. As a beast-like superpower, it is a great honor for me to be able to kill an S-level crazy-blooded golden lion. The majestic young man smiled ferociously and charged directly towards Cheng Wushang. His terrifying bare legs made the ground tremble under his feet. Cheng Wushang roared and rushed away. No. I'm afraid you won't succeed. If you are going to die, you must die heroically. You cannot be humiliated by these people. However, facing the beast-shaped Silver Awakener who was much higher in cultivation than himself, Cheng Wushang was completely overwhelmed. Bang bang bang. He was beaten with a hammer, and his hair was bleeding from many places. He was blasted by the terrifying force and smashed trees one after another. It was very miserable. Haha, it's so cool. The majestic young man grinned widely and stepped on the head of Cheng Wushang, who had recovered his human body, with a bear's leg. The rest of the people also looked on with a happy smile. Being able to kill an S-class special recruit made them feel extremely comfortable. There were even several students who were gearing up and walking towards Cheng Wushang. The young captain frowned and scolded coldly, "Stop making trouble and kill him." The majestic young man nodded, licked the corner of his mouth and raised his leg, intending to step on Cheng Wushang's head. On the ground, Cheng Wushang's eyes were sluggish. "Brother Mo, it seems I can't become the strongest man with you." The words are not finished yet. Sudden, boom, a big head fell to the ground, reflected in his dispirited eyes. Cheng Wushang's eyes gradually condensed. Looking at the head very close to him, it turned out to be the head of that majestic young man. "You brat, I've obviously asked you to put your own safety first." A helpless and angry scolding sounded in Cheng Wushang's ears, and then he felt himself being picked up. Looking up, it was his familiar and handsome face, Brother Mo. At this time, all the student awakeners, including the youth captain, looked blankly at the majestic young man whose head fell to the ground. What happened? Just for a moment, they didn't even react. They saw a flash of knife light, and the majestic young man was beheaded. When he reacted again, a young man covered in blood was already standing there. What's the situation? You know, there is an awakener with enhanced hearing in their team. The short young man looked at the face of the majestic young man who was even grinning, then looked at the slender figure covered in blood, and said in a trembling voice, "Team Captain, it's that other person." The young captain nodded with an ugly expression. On the devastated ground, seeing Cheng Wushang covered in blood, Sumo felt very guilty. If he comes later, cannot imagine. Holding Cheng Wushang in his arms, Sumo slowly walked to a flat ground and gently put him down, saying softly, "Next, you can have a good rest and leave everything to Brother Mo." After saying that, his expression turned cold, and the killing intent in his eyes almost turned into reality. He turned around and glanced at everyone in Linhai University. "You guys deserve to die." The voice was depressed and low, as creepy as a Shira crawling out of hell. Moment. All the students, including the youth captain, subconsciously took a step back and turned pale. As if being stared at by a giant beast, he didn't dare to move at all. Die. There were not many BBs. Holding the alloy Guandao, Sumo performed the wandering dragon step with all his strength. His body was like a swimming dragon rushing out of the clouds, carrying his majesty with him, and violently killed the young captain, the strongest among them. He just wants to kill these people at this moment, even if the King of Heaven comes. You have to stand aside for him. What a speed. Seeing Sumo rushing towards him in the blink of an eye, the young captain's pupils shrank. He quickly reacted and raised his knife to parry hastily. However, clang, under his horrified gaze, Sumo's pitch-black blade directly cut off his alloy sword. Immediately afterwards, the knife edge came to the eyes like a broken bamboo. To die. Looking at the pitch-black knife edge so close at hand, this was the young man's last thought. PFF'd. I saw the alloy sword coming down from top to bottom, splitting the young captain in half on the spot. With a sneer, Sumo twisted his body and without any hesitation, he rushed towards another Linhai University student again. The second slash in 9 consecutive blows with a heavy sword. The girl with heavy makeup only reacted at this moment, with a horrified look on her face. Captain. Their captain, the 5-star Silver Awakener, died like this. Not only her, but the rest of the students looked at the young captain who fell in half with disbelief. Don't want. And just when everyone was stunned for a moment, another person was beheaded by Sumo with a knife. We can't let him defeat them one by one, hurry up. Let's get together. Someone screamed in fear, and the remaining people came to their senses, and each used their special powers to kill Sumo. There are B-level water elemental water blade attacks, enhanced monster power attacks, and special sonic harassment. All kinds of supernatural powers attacked Sumo. Die all of them. With a grin on his face, Sumo swept across with a handheld knife and blasted out with an iron fist. 2 white halos appeared on the knife edge and the iron fist. Click, click, accompanied by 2 strange sounds of glass breaking. All attacks were wiped out by the sweep, and the shock force impacted out. Among them, the 5 Linhai students who attacked Sumo at close range were separated from flesh and blood on the spot and exploded into blood mist. Boom boom boom. The land with a radius of more than 10 meters was constantly vibrating, and the ground was shaking. If it weren't for the fear of affecting Cheng Wushang, Sumo's attack would have covered everyone. All shocked to death, the remaining 7 people looked at Sumo dumbfounded, with fear in their eyes. Already thinking about quitting. Run, the girl with heavy makeup yelled and turned around and ran away without saying a word. Facing Sumo, they were completely powerless. At this moment, the only option is to escape. Buzz. But before the 7 people could react, an invisible ripple suddenly spread out. Wherever they passed, the bodies of the 7 people who were about to turn around seemed to be suppressed by 100 times gravity. Bang 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 bang. They all lay on the ground like dead dogs, unable to move. Like a murderous god, Sumo walked towards the 7 people expressionlessly. Don't kill me. I was wrong. Being approached by Sumo, the short young man felt like he was dying. Looking at the shimmering knife edge, a smell came from his crotch, and he actually peed. Sumo looked down at him, raised the guandao in his hand, and lowered it. PFF'd. The head rolled down, and the face was frozen and distorted. When the other 6 people saw this, their faces turned pale with fright, they struggled to move, and cried out. Don't kill us. Don't kill us. Yes, that's right. We have money, psychic stones, and spiritual expansion sparks. Sumo's eyes were cold and he raised the knife in his hand. No, PFF'd. Sir, please let me go. I am from the Ming Martial Arts School in the Magic City. PFF'd. I don't want to die. PFF'd, shaking away the blood on the knife edge, Sumo walked towards the last and first 2 people who wanted to escape. That is, the eccentric woman and the girl with heavy makeup. At this time, the 2 women were not as calm as they were at the beginning. One of them had a twisted and frightened expression. One of them burst into tears. Sumo walked up to the yin and yang woman, looked down at her, and raised the knife in his hand. No, I beg you, don't kill me. As long as you don't kill me, I will listen to you in everything. You can do whatever you want, mine is big. I'm big everywhere, please. PFF'd. The hysterical voice stopped suddenly, the head rolled to the side, and the delicate body was still twitching. The girl with heavy makeup on the side started crying and screaming, I know. She is not pretty enough, right. I am very beautiful. My kung fu is good. He is also the best in the school and will definitely satisfy you. Let me live, okay. Crying, the little face that had been stained by tears lifted up. It was an internet celebrity face that could still be seen, but the foundation made it look like a ghost. The corner of Sumo's mouth twitched, almost breaking his guard. He squatted down and reached out to lift the girl's chin. The latter's face suddenly filled with hope and she stopped crying. However, Sumo's next words made her look horrified again. When you are reincarnated in your next life, I hope you can be a bit more confident. After saying that, Sumo twisted his wrist. Click. There was a sound of bones breaking, the girl's frightened face froze, her head was twisted to the side, and she could no longer die. Ding. The host killed the silver 3-star awakener and obtained 160 energy points. Standing up, Sumo clapped his hands in disgust, and then began to touch the body, after taking away everything he could. He walked towards Cheng Wushang with satisfaction, and then carried Cheng Wushang away from here. As for these corpses, just treat them as extra food for the monsters. Soon, Sumo carried Cheng Wushang to a hidden valley. After building a fence with rocks, he breathed a sigh of relief. This battle, first killing thousands of monsters, and then destroying a group of silver awakeners, was indeed quite costly. Walking into the valley, Cheng Wushang was lying there with a look of remorse. Seeing Sumo come in, he lowered his head and said, "Brother Mo, I'm sorry, I didn't listen to you." Sumo suddenly had a dark look on his face, stepped forward and gave Cheng Wushang a surprise. "You didn't finish it, and you knew how to apologize along the way. Is it your fault? It's my fault. You are in the Black Iron Realm, you shouldn't have been asked to follow them." This brat, the look of self-blame made him feel very guilty. "Brother Mo, okay, if you blame yourself again, believe it or not, I will send you back immediately." Hearing this, Cheng Wushang shook his head violently. Giving him an annoyed look, Sumo suddenly asked doubtfully, "You obviously have something to protect yourself, why don't you use it?" "Ah, Brother Mo, I forgot." Helplessly holding his forehead, Sumo shook his head and sighed, "Forget it, I don't blame you. It's inevitable to be nervous when facing such a crisis for the first time. Remember this lesson and be smarter next time, you know." "I know, Brother Mo." After throwing some healing medicine to Cheng Wushang, Sumo walked aside and began to check the harvest. The harvest this time is quite a lot. The thousands of monsters alone have nearly 20,000 energy points. Including killing the group of awakened people from Linhai University, the amount of psychic stones collected should be enough for 20,000. The most important thing is that he found a fiery red and radiant elixir from the young captain's storage bracelet. When they were in high school, the teachers taught them this knowledge, so he recognized it at a glance. Spirit Expansion Spark, a rare elixir of intermediate quality. In the market, there are things that have a price but no market, and it is difficult for ordinary Diamond Realm experts to buy them. After all, this is a treasure that gives a person an 80% chance of being promoted to the Golden Realm. If the person has a strong supernatural power, the awakened person with the talent of evil will cooperate with this medicine. If nothing unexpected happens, it is easy to open up a psychic spring and advance to the Golden Realm. Looking at the spiritual expansion sparks in the storage space, Sumo asked in his mind, "System, can I exchange it for energy points?" In addition to obtaining energy points by killing creatures, all items with energy can be exchanged for energy points. After hearing the system's answer, Sumo gave up the idea of exchanging it after weighing it. His promotion to gold is actually as easy as drinking water, but what about Cheng Wushang and Chen Durong, and what about the future members? Let's keep it for now and see if his two little brothers need it later. As for what can be exchanged for energy points, sorry, just spend some time killing monsters. But the soul expanding spark is hard to come across. When given a choice, any fool knows how to choose. System, absorb the psychic stone in my bracelet. A total of 3 people in that team of awakeners have storage space. The rest of them were carrying packages, but they didn't have psychic stones, which was a pity. Although the psychic stones in the 3 storage spaces combined are all low-grade and low-grade, there are still hundreds of them. By estimation, it should be able to exchange for more than 3,000 energy points. Ding! The host absorbed a low-grade psychic stone and gained 90 points of energy. Ding! The host absorbed a low-grade spiritual energy stone and gained 110 points of energy. Ding! The host absorbed a low-level spiritual energy stone and obtained, a total of 3,607 energy points, plus the 19,504 points gained from killing those monsters and the team of awakeners. A total of 23,111 energy points were obtained. Enough progress to unlock 2 more points of shock power. Of course, this time, he doesn't plan to unlock it. He will upgrade the team mode first. As his thoughts fell, ding, the team mode is being upgraded. Ding. Upgrade progress. 1%. 0.10%. 0.24%. Ding. The team mode has been upgraded. The current level is level 2, the feedback ratio is 20%, and the team size is 6 members. Very good, I should be able to get more now. Sumo grinned and felt very comfortable. Next, because Cheng Wuxiang needed to heal, Sumo could only stay with him. Wait until the injury is almost healed before you can continue to go out and kill. After all, Sumo didn't feel at ease if he was left alone. At night, the temperature drops sharply. Sumo took out the food because Cheng Wuxiang couldn't move. He could only feed this guy with his hands. If those pretty girls from Shanghai University saw this scene, they would be extremely envious. How they wish that the person feeding Master Sumo was themselves, not Cheng Wuxiang. After eating and drinking, the two of them lay down on the prepared quilt. Cheng Wuxiang suddenly spoke curiously. Brother Mo, can I ask a question? Sumo, say, your current state. Yes, as you can see, Silver Realm. Sumo didn't hide it either. After all, he had shown strength that was not in line with the Black Iron Realm in front of Cheng Wuxiang many times. Gulu. After swallowing a handful of saliva, Cheng Wuxiang felt numb inside. Silver Realm. Their awakening ceremony has only been about 20 days, right? Brother Mo is already a Silver Awakener, and he has to catch up with the legendary records in the textbooks. The most irritating thing is that Brother Mo is so low-key. He doesn't pretend to be a cup in a high-profile manner, but just does so invisibly. It's really, if God had not given birth to me, Brother Mo, forever would be like a long night. Cheng Wuxiang was filled with emotion, and he admired Sumo even more. Brother Mo, you hide it so deliberately, I won't tell it. Sumo nodded. Well, anything good as Lin Feng will destroy it. If you draw too much attention, you will be in a lot of trouble. Although I am already somewhat noticeable now, I still have to keep a low profile. Cheng Wuxiang, a little eye-catching. Do you need to be more low-key? He is the strongest top student in the freshman year at Modu University, and the whole school knows it, and he might even make the news by then. Is this a bit eye-catching? Why does it feel like it doesn't sound human? Although he was complaining in his heart, Cheng Wuxiang still nodded heavily. Brother Mo is right, you should be more low-key as a person. The old beggar also said so. Well, just understand. Go to sleep. Yes, Brother Mo. In the next 3 days, Sumo practiced martial arts while accompanying Cheng Wuxiang. It is worth mentioning that with 9 consecutive slashes with the heavy sword, Xiaocheng's realm has been completely controlled and is approaching Dacheng. It can already be slashed 5 times in a row. The superimposed power of the 5th sword is terrifying. Cheng Wuxiang's health gradually improved and he was almost fully recovered. The resilience is indeed extremely abnormal. On the 4th day, the two walked out of the valley again. Cheng Wuxiang grinned. Brother Mo, I am a good man again. The words fell. Rumble. The earth suddenly shook, and the hard ground above began to fall down as if it had suffered a huge impact. Immediately afterwards, a majestic sound spread throughout the underground maze. All awakened people under the maze, listen to the order. In case of emergency, the army is waiting outside. The wave of monsters is coming. Return to the base city quickly. All awakened ones under the maze, listen to the order. In case of emergency, the military is already waiting outside. The wave of monsters is coming. Return to the base city quickly. The majestic sound spread throughout the abyss labyrinth, including all the awakened ones on the top, middle, and even the bottom levels. All heard clearly. Tide of monsters. Get out quickly. No way, are you really here? I just came to the maze. I still vividly remember the wave of monsters in the dangerous area of the Bone Forest in the north 3 years ago. Run. If you don't run, you will die. Sand sculpture, you are still dissecting materials. Do you want to die? Come with me now. In the abyss maze, after hearing this voice, all the awakened people's expressions changed drastically and they ran towards the exit. And some of the golden awakeners at the lowest level even used the speed of feeding, like lightning, rushing to the upper level. Most of them are the remaining survivors who experienced the wave of monsters in the dangerous land of Netherbone Forest 3 years ago. That wave of monsters came so suddenly that the military did not react, and many people did not react. In the end, there were heavy casualties. The frontline fortress was breached 3 times, until the powerful king of the sea and an army of one of the 9 demon-suppressing armies rushed back. Only then did the last few lines of defense remain. Otherwise, if a wave of monsters were allowed to rush into the magic city, ordinary people and low-level awakened people would definitely not be spared. This is the tide of monsters. A disaster that scares human civilization. At the top level, Brother Mo, what should I do? Cheng Wushang naturally also knew what the concept of monster tide was. When they were in high school, their teachers often reminded them of the horror of this disaster. Su Mo sighed helplessly. What else can we do? Run away. Although I am very reluctant and want to continue to earn some energy in this newbie place, nothing is more important than my life. Soon, he took Cheng Wushang and ran towards the exit. Along the way, I met many awakened people, all of whom looked anxious, wishing they had 4 legs and could run faster. After exiting the bloody hole, there were already many alloy armored vehicles parked outside. An officer wearing a black military uniform was currently flying in the sky. His facial features were majestic and he was not angry. Walking through the air, this officer turned out to be a strong man in the Diamond Realm. I am Commander Chen, the person in charge of evacuating you from this place this time. Those who come out should get on the armored vehicle immediately and move quickly. Seeing the awakened ones running out of the abyss maze one after another, Chief Chen urged again with authority, the tide of monsters is expected to break out of the abyss territory and pass through the abyss maze in 4 or 5 hours. Time is very tight, so hurry up. As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of the awakened ones who had just ran out changed drastically again. 4 or 5 hours, so fast. You know, it takes 3 hours to get back to the base city from here. And we have to wait for some people who come out later. If there is an accident or something halfway, then. When they thought of this, the group of awakened people rushed into the armored vehicle and sat down nervously one by one. Su Mo and Cheng Wushang also rushed out after a while. At this time, an ethereal voice came, Junior, this way, this way. Cheng Wushang looked over and his eyes suddenly widened. It's Senior Sister Shangguan and Senior Sister Yi. I saw the alluring Shangguan Feiyan and the pretty Yi Xiaoshui sitting on an alloy armored vehicle waving towards them. Cheng Wushang immediately turned to look at Su Mo with admiration on his face. Good guy, as soon as I was in danger, the goddess Senior Sister came to pick me up in person, or in a separate luxury armored car. If he hadn't known that Brother Mo was as fierce as a tiger, he would have called Brother Mo a boyfriend. Su Mo couldn't help but be surprised. Shangguan Feiyan actually came to pick him up in person. Is it because they are both students of Yan Yun, or? Keep a low profile and don't be too narcissistic. Shaking his head, Su Mo quickly led Cheng Wushang towards the armored vehicle where Shangguan Feiyan was. Many awakened people around me were envious when they saw this scene. Most of them knew Shangguan Feiyan. Who are the 2 boys in front of me that can be greeted by the daughter of the Shangguan family? Since Su Mo's current reputation is only spread in Shanghai University, many people in the outside world still don't know about it. So at this moment, this group of awakened people looked at Su Mo sourly. It's great, you don't have to squeeze into a car, and you have a beautiful woman to accompany you. When they arrived at the armored vehicle, the door opened automatically. Su and Mo immediately stepped onto the armored vehicle. The space inside was spacious and the smell was good. As soon as Su Mo came up, Shangguan Feiyan looked at him. After finding that there was nothing serious, she breathed a sigh of relief. Bo Lao, go back. Seeing this scene, Yi Xiaoshui and Cheng Wushang were naturally unbalanced again. The former is angry to death, the latter is sour to death. On the road, rumble, the terrifying vibrations continued, and the armored vehicle that had just driven a short distance was almost overturned. Su Mo had a look of surprise and confusion on his face. What's going on with this vibration? Yi Xiaoshui stabilized her body, looked in the direction of the abyss territory, and said in a solemn tone, according to internal information, I heard that a new 5th-level demon general was promoted to the abyss territory. This wave of monsters is their new one. The principal and others have already gone to stop these big monsters. A 5th-level demon general. A battle between extraordinary strong men. Hearing this, Su Mo looked shocked. Did this wave of monsters actually involve such powerful people? The most terrible thing is, what the hell is this power? The battle in the Abyss territory actually spread to the Abyss maze. You know, within the field of vision, there is no movement in the direction of the Abyss territory. In other words, the battle of these powerful men is enough to affect a land thousands of miles away, or even more. An extraordinary strong man is so terrifying. At this moment, Sumo felt even more in awe of extraordinary and powerful people, and even powerful people who were crowned kings. At the same time, I am even more eager to get this power. Cheng Wushang on the side stared wide-eyed. The battle of extraordinary strong men. This was something he couldn't even imagine. Looking in the direction of the Abyss territory, Yi Xiaoshui's tone was filled with worry at this time. This wave of monsters may be several times more terrifying than the one 3 years ago. Although the military has prepared in advance this time, the layout is laid out, but the sacrifice is probably not small. After she finished speaking, she looked at Sumo. By the way, fellow disciple, this time the military has recruited major forces and awakened organizations to defend the front. I heard that as long as monsters are killed, corresponding psychic stones will be given to them, as a reward. Many sophomores, juniors, and seniors from our Modu University, including other key universities, have come to the front line for training. Of course, there are also many who are afraid of death and have not come, but Fei Yan and I have decided to give it a try. There are teachers and others watching, and powerful monsters are naturally handled by powerful awakeners. We only need to guard against the first and second level monsters. Although it is also very dangerous, if we can survive this experience, it will definitely improve our state of mind. The cultivation level has been greatly improved, and there are also many freshmen coming here. I just saw the special recruitment teacher bringing that Li Tianyi and the little beauty Murong. How about you, Junior? Quote. Hearing this, Sumo's eyes gradually brightened. Without saying anything, Sumo grinned directly. This is a rare opportunity, so naturally I want to participate. Just kidding, I came to the Abyss Labyrinth for 6 whole days, and spent 4 days taking care of Cheng Wushang. They simply failed to cultivate energy points properly, and now the military actually recruited awakened people to defend together, and even divided the battle lines. Creating space for low-level awakened people like them is still very dangerous, and they may die at any time. But if there was no danger, the military would not be able to set up such a high reward, right? Anyway, it's all voluntary. If you want to participate, come. If you don't, the military won't force you. After all, it's not time to truly despair yet. The strong man who sealed the title of king. The 9 demon-suppressing armies. As long as these 2 biggest trump cards of mankind are still there, the demonic city will not fall so easily. There is a crisis, but it is not fatal. Most people know this, so they actively participated in this recruitment. Although there are dangers, the rewards are really great. For Sumo, the 3rd and 4th level monsters were blocked by strong men, and the remaining 1st and 2nd level defense lines were simply heaven. Shengguan Feiyan, who was sitting opposite, saw Sumo's confident smile and reminded softly, Junior, if you want to participate later, remember to follow me. After all, this last line of defense still has a 2nd level. The monsters are here, and no matter how evil you are still in some danger when facing a 2nd level monster. When Yi Xiaoshui saw this, she became jealous. Ha! Fei Yan, just pet him. Be careful if others call him a pretty boy. Cheng Wushang on the side suddenly twitched his mouth when he heard this. Pretty boy, is it dangerous for Brother Mo to encounter a 2nd level monster? Gone, a strong man who killed thousands of monsters by himself, chopping up 2nd level monsters like melons and vegetables. Are you calling me a pretty boy? I'm afraid that the lives of those 2nd level monsters are not guaranteed. He really wanted to brag about his Brother Mo in front of the 2 beauties, but Brother Mo had said that he should be low-key and not show off. Ignoring Yi Xiaoshui's small eyes, Sumo looked at Shengguan Feiyan and chuckled. Senior, I will pay attention to my sense of propriety. Soon, more than 3 hours passed. The towering alloy fortress came into view. At this time, on the alloy city wall, a large number of awakened officers and soldiers wearing alloy armor stood on it, with stern expressions on their faces. Behind them, there are countless awakened people, fully armed and ready. In the sky, a series of psychic fighter jets were suspended above the fortress, buzzing. They were actually the latest Annihilation Divine machines. A heavy-duty anti-personnel weapon loaded with terrifying firepower. If the psychic energy is sufficient, it is enough to kill a large number of low-level monsters. There are many gun barrels on the Alloy City wall, which are also the latest psychic crystal cannons. Once the shuttle goes down, even the third-level monsters can't withstand it. In short, this first fortress alone is covered with countless cannons. The latest high-tech weapons will definitely make the monsters drink a pot of water. Let's go up. The armored vehicle drove into the city gate. After it stopped, Shangguan Feiyan took the lead to walk upstairs, followed by Butler Bo. While chatting in the car, Sumo learned about this old housekeeper who was silently following Shangguan Feiyan. He turned out to be a powerful awakener in the Diamond Realm. He is a personal guard with a knife who is responsible for protecting his young lady. Hidden deep enough, he couldn't even detect Sumo's appearance. There was no doubt that he was a high-star diamond expert. With him here, it can be said that Shangguan Feiyan is safe this time. On the platform belonging to Modu University, many sophomores, juniors and even seniors gathered at this time. The domineering young man who went to watch the friendly match last time saw Shangguan Feiyan approaching and greeted her with a grin. Behind him, followed a group of senior students who were wearing battle armor with him. The beautiful woman who followed him last time was among them, and each of them had an amazing aura and sharp eyes. They were all awakened in the Golden Realm. When he got closer, the overbearing young man grinned and said jokingly, "Little sister, have you brought your little boyfriend back?" Shangguan Feiyan's pretty face suddenly turned red. She glared at the young man, and then introduced to Sumo, "This is my brother, Shangguan Qinghong, a special admissions student for seniors." Senior's brother, Shangguan Qinghong. In the campus forum, this name seems to be listed on the list of influential figures in the senior year. It seems that he was a ruthless person and didn't run away. Sumo smiled and said hello, Senior Shangguan. Shangguan Qinghong looked at Sumo meaningfully and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. "What do you call senior? Shouldn't he be brother-in-law?" Yi Xiaoshui on the side couldn't bear it anymore. "Brother Qinghong, what kind of brother-in-law are you? Fei Yan and this stinky guy are very pure." Pouting his lips, Shangguan Qinghong stepped forward and put his arms around Sumo's shoulders, looking at Yi Xiaoshui with disdain. "I'm sorry, my sister's orientation is normal, you have no chance, and brother-in-law, I am very satisfied with this young man." Quote. Looking at the handsome face so close to him, Sumo was speechless for a while. Why does this old man suddenly keep calling himself brother-in-law? If this spreads out, his innocence with his senior sister will not be guaranteed. "Sumo, senior, my relationship with my senior is very pure." Upon hearing this, Shangguan Qinghong looked at Sumo with an expression that said, "Do you think I will believe it? Apart from my father and me, you are the third man Fei Yan has cooked for himself. And she smiled at you, right? Plus we live together, little brother, they are all men, I understand." A cheeky smile came out, making Sumo's mouth twitch. Good guy, the content of this analysis really makes people imagine, but the real situation is that they are really pure, okay. Buzz. Just when the brother-in-law wanted to continue teasing, a loud siren sounded. Immediately afterwards, a loud and majestic sound came from the sky. "Everyone, the wave of monsters is about to arrive at the base city in half an hour. Now, all the Diamond Awakeners who are ready, follow me and kill all the 4th level monsters. Don't miss any of them." As soon as he finished speaking, on the platform, figures with magnificent auras and extraordinary bearings rose into the air and rushed into the clouds one after another. This scene was so spectacular that the other awakened people looked longingly at it. In the diamond state, you can fly in the air, be free, unrestrained and uninhibited. This is the state that most awakened people aspire to achieve in their lives. After a while, most of the Diamond Awakeners followed the owner of the voice and headed towards the Abyss territory. Besides Sumo, Shangguan Qinghong grinned softly, looking at the Diamond Awakener who was far away with an unconcealed domineering look. "Diamond Realm, it's not far away." As he said that, he looked at Sumo again, and his mean expression showed again. "Brother-in-law, behave well. Brother-in-law, I will be the most handsome boy in the 3rd level monster defense line, and you will be the brightest boy in the 1st and 2nd level defense line. When the time comes, if our father sees it, he will definitely be very satisfied. Next to her, Shangguan Feiyan's ears were already a little red. She grabbed Shangguan Qinghong's waist, pulled her brother aside, and started the brother-sister beating game. And soon, about 10 minutes passed, and the horizon was in the distance. At the junction of the sky and the earth, pitch-black shadows constantly caught everyone's eyes. The overwhelming, roaring tide of monsters that makes one's scalp numb just by looking at them is finally here. Tide of monsters. It was as if a terrifying black sea was flowing in, giving people an extremely oppressive and suffocating feeling. Some weak students who saw such a scene for the first time suddenly turned pale. I no longer have the confidence and eagerness to try that I had at the beginning. Even some of the older generation of awakened people who had experienced a wave of monsters felt their scalps numb and their faces ugly at this moment. Why? Why is this wave of monsters so big? It's much more terrifying than the one 3 years ago. Can we really hold on? Don't say any depressing words, cheer me up. Our home is behind us, and our wife, children, and children are still behind us. Yes, I don't believe it. There are so many of us, plus the technological weapons of our military brothers, we can't stop these beasts. On the platform, after the initial panic, most of the awakened people quickly calmed down. Although I am still very nervous, I can now face the wave of monsters head-on. The platform of Modu University. Yi Xiaoshui's pretty face turned pale. Is this the real wave of monsters? Whispering, she swallowed nervously. During the monster wave 3 years ago, they, as high school students, had only heard of its horror. They didn't see it with their own eyes at all, but even so, they could still feel the tragedy from the palpitating expressions of some of the older generation. However, these feelings are nothing compared to the real tide of monsters at this moment. The feeling of facing the tide of monsters can make one's mind go blank, and one cannot think of any resistance. Behind her, Li Tianyi, Mirongzi and other special recruits who came confidently had even more pale faces. Looking at the tide of monsters, he looked confused. Can they, the 4-star Black Iron, really survive such a wave? Even if they are at the lowest level of the first level, if they are surrounded by 10 or hundreds of them, they will still die. The students from other key universities in the Magic City were doing the same, their bodies trembling slightly. Among the freshmen present, only Su Mo looked excited. He looked at the group of monsters at this time, as if he saw an energy point running towards them. 20 o'clock, 30 o'clock, 40 o'clock. The monsters reflected in their eyes had numbers popping up on their heads. At this time, on the highest alloy city wall, a burly officer with a Chinese character face stared solemnly at the tide of monsters on the sky and the earth. He is the general battlefield commander here, a person at the peak of Diamond 9 stars. Known as Chu Kuang, he is known as the Iron-Blooded Man Mad. He is a general from the 9 Demon Suppressing Army, and he was sent to guard and direct this battle. His tiger eyes were full of evil energy, and he shouted, "Fire!" The words fell. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. The annihilation divine machines in the sky above flew out one after another, waiting for them to approach the wave of monsters. Terrifying psychic missiles flew out one after another, aiming directly at the group of monsters. Boom 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 boom. Accompanied by a loud roar that shook the earth, a huge mushroom cloud rose into the air. The psychic storm continued to strangle the group of monsters below, but even so, it seemed that it couldn't make a splash. The tide of monsters is still rushing forward, endless, like the Black Sea passing through, drowning everything. On the city wall, the countless spiritual crystal cannons were also brewing energy at this time, and then fired out. Bang 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 bang. The blue psychic cannons spanned a distance of tens of thousands of meters and continued to fall into the tide of monsters. Boom 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 boom. Psychic storms were generated everywhere, killing monsters one after another. This time, the holes in the monster tide were indeed emptied, but they were quickly filled by the monsters behind them. Such a scene is simply disappointing. But Chu Kuang was unmoved and continued. Choose one point, suppress it with firepower, don't stop. After speaking, he turned his head and scanned all the awakened ones below. All the golden awakeners immediately rushed to the place thousands of meters away from the fire suppression, hold the defense line, and kill. The last word, kill, fell, and all the awakened people below seemed to be infected by this murderous aura. Looking at the spectacular scene of explosive fire and feeling the air filled with gunpowder smoke, the eyes of each one suddenly burst out with endless fighting intent. Kill. Brothers, protect your family and country, kill me. Everyone, our home is behind us. We must not let these animals rush over and kill them. Kill, 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 kill. A group of Golden Awakeners immediately turned into afterimages. After showing their magical powers, they jumped off the city wall and rushed away immediately. In front, soldiers wearing alloy armors had already rushed into the tide of monsters, looking for third-level monsters. They fought desperately. Chu Kuang looked at this scene with satisfaction. Although his momentum was not very good at the beginning, now he finally looks like a man. On the platform of Shanghai University. After Shangguan Qinghong took a deep breath, he immediately grinned and laughed heartily, ha ha ha. I, Shangguan Qinghong, am here. As soon as he finished speaking, he jumped off the city wall first, and a ball of pitch-black magic armor immediately attached to his body. Then he pulled out two ferocious long knives with black light from the magic armor with both hands, and rushed out without saying a word. The team members behind them also used their own abilities in a coordinated manner, each with a terrifying momentum, and they all kept up with Shangguan Qinghong's pace. At this time, Mr. Bo looked at the middle-aged man who appeared at an unknown time. Go and look at the young master. Yes, this person immediately stepped out of the air and turned out to be another Diamond Awakener. Soon, as the Golden Awakeners struggled to block the third line of defense, there was a wave of remaining first and second level monsters. Obviously it's not as dense as it was at the beginning, but it's still like a black sea, coming in with pressure. Chu Kuang looked at the majority of the silver and black iron awakened people on the platform, and said in a deep voice, this will be your defense line. Don't be afraid, unite, victory will belong to us, then everyone, for our homeland, for us the people behind you, kill them. The roar fell. On the platform, a group of silver awakeners jumped off the city wall one after another, using their superpowers and holding swords in hand to kill the tide of monsters. Sumo also said nothing, took out the alloy sword, and jumped in boldly. His blood was already boiling, and his eyes were full of energy points. Junior. Shangguan Feiyan's expression changed drastically and she wanted to catch Sumo, but the latter was obviously one step faster. Without any further hesitation, she immediately took out her immortal sword equipment and chased after Sumo. Brother Mo, wait for me. Cheng Wushang was also stunned. This was too sudden for Brother Mo. He didn't even say hello, but others would shout the word, kill, to boost his momentum. Gone. Sure enough, in society, Brother Mo, are ruthless and don't talk much. Roar. After a lion's roar, Cheng Wushang transformed into a bloody golden lion and jumped off the city wall. Yi Xiaoshui's superpower is the S-level fire element, ice and red flame. It's a bone-chilling flame, not only has powerful attack power, but also has the ability to stun others. Sky blue flames appeared on her body, and she immediately jumped down. Snort. Fei Yan protects his stinky junior fellow student, so I will protect Fei Yan. Chapter 51. On the ground 1,000 meters away from the alloy city wall, densely packed first and second level monsters attacked and killed them. The sky and the earth were overwhelming, the earth trembled, and the roars continued. Facing this last line of defense, the military's silver armor corps took the lead in charging away. As a vanguard force and an elite guarding the demon city, although they are not as perverted as the 9 demon suppressing army. But he is obviously a veteran who has experienced countless bloody battles. I saw that during their charge, they all subconsciously formed a battle formation that was both offensive and defensive. 10 people make up a small team, hundreds make up a large team, and the blade is always looking at it. Kill. Once they collided, the armored soldiers began to display their special abilities. In the 10-person team, there were speed awakeners, defensive awakeners, and special control type abilities. They worked together so well that they suppressed the first batch of monsters. Chu Kuang saw this scene and nodded secretly. Although the garrison in the base city was not as selective as the 9 demon suppressing army. But unexpectedly, he turned out to be surprisingly good, and this time he was transferred by the headquarters as the temporary commander. He was also worried about the suitability of the soldiers. Now it seemed that although it was not as good as the 9 demon suppressing army, it was still pretty good. Thinking about this, Chu Kuang turned his head and looked down at the awakened recruiters who had also rushed out, but frowned. It's too scattered. In comparison, this group of awakened recruits is like a piece of scattered sand, even if they have their own small team. But everyone still fights on his own. I am afraid that he will not be able to withstand the impact of the first wave of the Black Sea. Just as he thought, after the armored corps rushed to buffer the tide of monsters, even the monsters that were killed were missed. This group of awakened people also hurriedly parried. After a while, there were casualties. You dare to sneak attack? Ah, don't. No, I can't stand it. Ah, my hand was bitten off. Quick, back to back, don't be surrounded by them. There are too many monsters, and my speed power can't be used. The awakened people looked panicked one by one, and screams and panic kept ringing out. The momentum that had just risen was extinguished in an instant. Of course, most of these are ordinary casual cultivators who are awakened, and they are constantly fighting. On the human side, among the recruited Silver Awakeners, a small team has also begun to stand out, with amazing results. Like sharp knives rushing through the tide of monsters. These people are actually comparable to the armored soldiers. They are all land reclamation teams and elite guards trained by the powerful forces in the Demon City. They are all Silver 9 stars and have received excellent training. In addition, some of the already famous Alliance Awakener teams are not much inferior. After the initial discomfort, he also launched a fierce attack. At this time, following the first batch of awakened ones to kill, Sumo looked at the densely packed monsters in front of him, his eyes gleaming. His figure alone was extremely conspicuous among the people rushing out. Because other awakened casual cultivators, even if they come alone, will subconsciously get closer to each other at this moment. Form a temporary team. Sumo was lucky. He rushed away alone. There was no awakened person within 10 meters around him. If you are attacked by a sneak attack and no one takes care of you, you will definitely die. Looking at his slightly youthful face, the Diamond Awakeners standing on the platform responsible for taking care of him all shook their heads. Young and frivolous. This kid. The teachers at Shanghai University of Finance and Economics who are responsible for this caregiving task also have a huge headache and are ready to protect them at any time. Feng Xiaoyao reminded him before leaving that if Sumo participated in this experience, he must be protected. If Sumo makes any mistakes, after returning, that sneer was still fresh in their memories. Even Chu Kuang, who was on the platform, frowned and turned to Sumo. Based on his cultivation level, he could naturally sense that Sumo was only a 6-star black iron cultivation level. This young man, if you don't stand behind a group of Silver Awakeners and check for leaks, why are you so stubborn? Are you going to rush in to find death? Snort. With a cold snort, he looked away. He admires courageous young people, but hates those who are unaware and arrogant. Sumo, who was running towards the monster wave, certainly didn't know how eye-catching his behavior was at this time. Because at this moment, he only has energy points in his eyes. Buzz. With a buzzing sound, a white halo suddenly appeared above Sumo's iron fist. The spiritual energy of the 6 black iron stars and the physical force together stimulated the shaking force, and the halo continued to expand. After running for several hundred meters again, the wave of monsters finally came to him. Kill. Facing the surging monster, Sumo raised the corner of his mouth slightly and immediately launched the punch that he had been accumulating for a long time. Click. There was a strange sound of glass breaking, and cracks spread out in the space. Click click click. In an instant, it covered an area of nearly 20 meters. Buzz. The invisible waves also spread away in the next moment. Boom. Bang 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 bang. With a loud explosion, all first level and even early and middle level second level monsters were shaken by this invisible wave. They turned into blood mist one after another. Even those in the late second level had many joints broken by the shock, flew backwards, and lost the ability to move. Ding. The host killed the late first order demon wolf and obtained 51 points of energy. Ding. The host killed the first level early stage hornless horse and gained 18 points of energy. Ding. The host killed the second stage initial flame snake and obtained 160 energy points. Ding. The host killed the early stage of the first level. A large number of prompts immediately popped up in Sumo's mind. It's so cool. Grinning, Sumo punched again. Buzz. Invisible ripples spread. In the distance of more than 50 meters along the way ahead, another large area of monsters exploded into blood mist. What kind of gadgets? The psychic bomb went wrong. Behind him, a team of awakeners who followed Sumo rushed to the brakes and exploded violently on the spot. And on the platform, Chu Kuang looked over again, his majestic face filled with astonishment. He stared at Sumo, then turned to look at the adjutant on the side. Feel this boy's cultivation level. The adjutant also looked shocked at this time, because just now, he witnessed all Sumo's actions. Swallowing his saliva, the adjutant replied, "Sir, this young man has a cultivation level of black iron 6th star." When Chu Kuang heard this, his eyes twitched sharply and he fell silent. After a long time, he sighed quietly, "I made a mistake. Are all young people today so fierce? Black iron 6 stars, 2 punches to kill hundreds of monsters. There are even second-level monsters among them. If it weren't for his excellent psychological quality, as a famous iron-blooded general, he might not be able to help but say bad." Taking a deep breath, Chu Kuang looked at the adjutant again. He should still be a student, check it out. Since the extraordinary era, he has been able to unleash such combat power in the black iron realm. You can count such monsters on 10 fingers. Although it may be a charged burst and an attack that cannot be sustained, it is definitely the monster among monsters. This iron-blooded maniac was quite curious at this moment. This guy is an outstanding figure from some big force. The adjutant immediately clicked on his bracelet, and a virtual screen quickly popped up. After an operation, his eyes widened at first, and then he exclaimed, "Sir, this young man is incredible." Chu Kuang looked quickly. I saw records about Sumo being written on the virtual screen. Tianai City orphan and commoner, the hardest working senior high school student in No. 3 middle school, Iron Man Sumo. During the awakening ceremony, the S-class special attack power demonic shock force was awakened, and he created miracles as a civilian. Within half a month, I registered to enter the school and my cultivation level reached black iron 6 stars. Battle Space broke Senior Morong's record and created an 888 game-winning streak, unprecedented. Sweeping through a group of specially recruited freshmen in the friendly match, becoming the top student ahead of schedule with an invincible attitude. The superpower is suspected to come from the state of mind, and the swordsmanship, body skills, and physical skills are all very accomplished. This son. Has the appearance of becoming a king. Looking at the record, Chu Kuang was silent for a long time before he finally said this. Because of Sumo's talent, only these words could express his mood at the moment. How much perseverance it takes for a commoner to overpower the children of the awakening family who enjoy the help of medicinal herbs. At this moment, I have obtained the legendary S-level talent and taken off immediately. Such an opportunity is simply a miracle. As long as he doesn't die prematurely, he will definitely be able to become a king. And at this time, on the platform, many powerful men from big forces also had stunned expressions on their faces. Sumo rushed ahead alone and had already attracted their attention. Now, he couldn't move his eyes away. He stared at Sumo, speechless for a long time. Soon, they also inquired about Sumo's information. When they saw these records, they all felt like Chu Kuang, unable to calm down in their hearts. Genius, evildoer, I'm afraid it's not enough. Pervert, only pervert, can interpret this year's top student of Shanghai University. Even the teachers at Shanghai Modu University, after seeing Sumo's strength. He was also silent. I finally understood why Feng Xiaoyao valued Sumo so much and why he made an exception and was promoted to chief student. Because such a genius monster is so worth it. Shangguan Feiyan, who was following Sumo, also had her beautiful face frozen. Junior. He indeed retained his strength. In that sparring session, he really told me that, at the same level, I couldn't resist such a punch. For a moment, Shangguan Feiyan felt a little unwilling, but soon she was filled with fighting spirit, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised. Yi Xiaoshui, who was following her, came to her side and didn't notice the smile on the latter's face. He snorted. This stinky junior brother knows how to pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger. Fei Yan, just ignore him. He is like this. His strength doesn't require you to protect him at all, he can barely protect us. Shangguan Feiyan shook his head. Junior shouldn't be able to sustain such an attack for long. We'd better stay by his side. After saying that, Shangguan Feiyan continued to catch up with Su Mo. Ah, Yi Xiaoshui is going crazy. Does Su Mo have magnets on his body? Why is Fei Yan so attracted? Although she was furious, she still chased after him. And to say who was the calmest at the moment, it was definitely Cheng Wushang. Looking at the exaggerated movement in front of him, he sighed with emotion. You are indeed my brother Mo. After all, knowing Su Mo's true strength, this little noise meant nothing. Brother Mo is already low-key. Otherwise, if you open it with all your strength, the movement will at least increase several times, and it will definitely be the most beautiful cub in the audience. Thinking secretly, he immediately rushed in the direction of Su Mo. In front, after Su Mo punched twice, his energy points surged. After a while, I made thousands of points. And this is just the beginning. How could such a good thing happen in the wild in the past? No luck at all, and even a lot of time searching, I couldn't find so many monsters. He was in an extremely happy mood, and just when he was about to continue punching 7 or 8 times, he was slightly stunned. Because in the perception of seeing, hearing and color, everyone's eyes seemed to be staring at him. Forehead, isn't it a bit high profile? For the sake of energy points, it seems that I got a little carried away. Gone. This conflicts with my philosophy, Mr. Su, low-key, low-key. Thinking about it, he began to compress the space range of the earthquake power, but the power did not change at all. What the hell, if he hits another 7 or 8 punches like this AoE? With the Black Iron Realm he revealed, it was indeed a bit unreasonable. Well, use the knife more often. Holding the alloy sword, Su Mo immediately swiped it. The terrifying sword light directly chopped down the dozens of first-order monsters that came to the ground. Puff 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 puff. The bright red blood was flowing on the knife edge, which looked particularly shocking. The next moment, without any hesitation, he rushed into the densest wave of monsters with the alloy sword in hand. The blade is sharp, and every time it swings and explodes, dozens of monsters can be killed on the spot. Some insidious monsters who wanted to sneak attack on him all failed in the full range of perception, and could only be slaughtered. At this moment, Su Mo may not know how shocking his figure is, with one man in charge and no one able to escape. The figure who was able to move with ease and not show any panic when facing the overwhelming monsters was like a god of war. Don't say low-key, be as high profile as you want. It was even more shocking than the 2 large area AoEs just now. Visual effects explosion. On the high platform of the city wall, the diamond experts who were watching the whole process of Su Mo's fight all murmured, "It's perfect." In their eyes, Su Mo was an all-powerful monster. Response capability, dodge ability, physical strength, speed movement, physical fighting, sword skills. Nothing is ordinary, coupled with the special type of power of strong attack. Simply impeccable. There is no doubt that this year's top freshman at Magic City University is definitely the most eye-catching presence on the battlefield at this moment. More eye-catching than the armored soldiers, the sharp knife squad, and anyone else. The efficiency of killing monsters is even more exaggerated than that of 200 elites combined. With 1 against 1,000, even looking at his next trend, if nothing unexpected happens, it is possible to defeat 10,000. At this time, Shangguan Feiyan, Yi Xiaoshui, and Cheng Wushang had also reached within 50 meters of Su Mo. The 3 of them were hugging each other at the moment, and Yi Xiaoshui, a 5-star silver star, used ice and red flames to kill and freeze the monsters. Shangguan Feiyan, on the other hand, was like a Valkyrie, with dozens of particle swords equipped with the immortal sword constantly spinning within a 10-meter range. Penetrate one monster after another. Cheng Wushang said that due to his low cultivation level, he could only hide behind the 2 women and fight the first-order monsters that came towards them. But he is also extremely brave. Monsters below the 2nd level cannot withstand a few rounds under his sharp claws. The cooperation and strength displayed by the 3 of them at this moment were actually much more eye-catching than the armored soldiers and other awakened team. Brother Mo, you are pretending over there, we are over here. After tearing apart a first-level monster, Cheng Wushang grinned in Su Mo's direction and said, "I can't stand it any longer. Remember, senior sister said she would go over and protect you." Boom. There was a sound of knocking on the head, and Yi Xiaoshui glared fiercely at Cheng Wushang, who was standing aside. You brat, are you still in the mood to tease me? Believe it or not, Fei Yan and I will leave you here right now, and besides, Fei Yan won't protect that boy. As she spoke, she waved her left hand, and sky-blue flames surged out, igniting the first and second level monsters that rushed towards Cheng Wushang. Burning, the ignited monster rolled in pain and was so stiff that it was difficult to move. Boo-hoo-hoo. Immediately afterwards, Shengguan Feiyan's particle sword, which was floating around to protect the two of them, also quickly penetrated these monsters. Cheng Wushang glanced at Yi Xiaoshui, who jumped up and knocked him on the head, and immediately did not dare to say anything. But in his heart he was complaining like crazy. Yes. The others, senior sister Shengguan, didn't say anything and even blushed. You, senior sister Yi, are nosy. Lily, you are impossible. My brother Mo is so charming that if I were a woman, I would definitely be his fool. Thinking secretly, Cheng Wushang stopped deserting and started killing monsters seriously. At the same time, he was also practicing the thunder running technique given to him by brother Mo, moving his powerful and domineering limbs with mysterious steps. The entire lion body is like a thunderbolt, and its speed is obviously much faster than the normal lion's stride. It can be seen from here that Cheng Wushang's talent is indeed amazing. It has only been less than a week since Sumo gave him the thunder movement technique. He has already made some achievements. I believe he will be able to get started in it soon. On the other side, Sumo naturally heard the kid Cheng Wushang's teasing, and couldn't help but shake his head and smile. This brat, my brother was worried that he would be swallowed by a monster. Now it seems that he is fine for the time being. The words fell. Facing an approaching second-level mid-level tiger monster, he turned around and punched it. Tiangong Demon Fist. The spiritual energy and physical power were compressed and blended together, and extremely violent fist power suddenly surged out. Roar. Accompanied by a low demonic roar, this powerful punch hit the demonic tiger's face. Next moment, that extremely violent punch blasted him into a ball of blood mist on the spot, leaving no bones left. Ding. The host killed the second-level mid-level armored tiger and obtained 260 energy points. What a violent punch. Sumo was secretly shocked. This was the first time he used the Tiangong demonic fist. He didn't expect it to be so ferocious. It is indeed a top-level intermediate and high-grade martial skill. Of course, he also knew that it was the combination of his perverted physical power, his spiritual power that was purer than the same level, and his profound physical skills that had such an effect. If an ordinary person were to, let's not talk about whether he can control such violent fist power, just practicing Tiangong Demon Fist is a problem. Grinning, Sumo immediately became even crazier. He planned to do two things at once: hold the sword in his left hand and perform 9 consecutive slashes with the heavy sword, and control the violent Tiangong demonic fist with his right hand. Although he was a little unfamiliar at first, as time went by, he actually mastered the basics of multitasking. So cool. Not only can you kill monsters to obtain energy points, but you can also effectively hone your martial arts. This wave of monsters is really a good environment to squeeze people's potential. If only those awakened ones who had died tragically at the mouths of monsters knew what he was thinking at this time. He will definitely be so angry that he will come to life. In order to survive, ordinary awakened people risk their lives to participate in this recruitment to earn psychic stones. It's better to use these geniuses as a training ground. Well, comparing people with each other makes people angry. No, it makes people angry. Soon, several hours passed, but the wave of monsters seemed to be endless, rushing to kill them. On the human side, casualties are appearing more and more frequently, and they are beginning to lose their strength and their offensives are weakening. Above the platform, Chu Kuang watched this scene and shouted majestically, "Awakened ones with strong melee capabilities should not rely too much on supernatural powers. Instead, use alloy weapons and arrange psychic powers appropriately. Hold on for another half an hour and wait for the first batch. The resting awakened ones have finished their rest and will be replaced immediately." In this kind of large-scale fighting, the Diamond Awakeners on the platform actually want to protect one more person. But it is impossible to cover everything, and the current casualties are still within an acceptable range. If they hadn't come to rescue in the past 3 hours, the casualties would have been many times greater. War is so cruel. Human beings are weak, and only through bloody battles can they survive more tenaciously, so sacrifice is inevitable. At this time, those who can survive on the battlefield are undoubtedly those with great perseverance and will be able to achieve something in the future. Even if your hands and feet are numb, as if they were filled with lead, you still have to grit your teeth and hold on. Naturally, the 3 of them were still supporting Shengguan Feiyan, taking medicine to restore their psychic powers and fighting at the same time. Cheng Wushang looked at the place where Sumo was. There, the corpses of monsters had piled up into a mountain, but the blood-stained figure above was still like a god of war, killing as many as he came, becoming more and more ferocious, and his momentum was like a rainbow. My brother Mo is so fierce. He sighed, then gritted his teeth and continued to hold on. The 2 women on the side also had sweat on their foreheads. When they looked up, they were shocked by the scene. Yi Xiaoshui. I have to admit, this Stinky Jr. is really fierce. Shengguan Feiyan's beautiful eyes flickered, staring at that figure, and then she started fighting even harder and crazily. As for the Diamond Awakeners on the platform, they were either praising or touting. This boy's perseverance is simply rare in my life. With such talent and perseverance, the future must be my hope for mankind to fight against monsters. Modu University really found a treasure this year. A while ago, I heard that there was a super monster with dual powers from Taizheng University, and it was a big deal. But now it seems that this guy from Shanghai University is more like a real super monster, right? No, I'd call it a super pervert. It's more appropriate. Haha, after this wave of monsters is over, I must go to see this freshman competition. This year's young people are incredible, incredible. A group of Diamond Awakeners, while guarding the battlefield below, focused their attention on Sumo from beginning to end. The same goes for Chu Kuang. While commanding the battlefield, he looked at Sumo and said with a smile, if this kid can successfully graduate and join the 9 demon suppressing army in the future and study hard, he will definitely become an invincible general and one of the best among human beings. Lucky you. Smiling, he immediately swept towards the battlefield below and shouted, start replacing people. Some of the awakened people who were struggling to persevere breathed a sigh of relief when they heard this, and immediately exchanged with the first batch of awakened people who had rested. The bloody battle continues. 1 day and 1 night later, human corpses and monster corpses intersected on the battlefield. But if you look closely, the monsters are more tragic, with a casualty ratio of almost 100 to 1. I don't know what wave of awakened people were handed over, but suddenly, a high-pitched roar came from beyond the horizon, from an unknown place. The monsters that were constantly charging and killing stopped one after another, and then turned around and fled back to the abyss territory. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. At this moment, the adjutant next to Chu Kuang seemed to have received some news, and his expression suddenly changed. He leaned close to Chu Kuang's ear and whispered with an ugly expression. What? Hearing this news, Chu Kuang's face suddenly changed color. Everyone is wondering why the wave of monsters escaped. Such unbelievable behavior was simply impossible in the past. The wave of monsters in the Netherbone Dangerous Land 3 years ago lasted for almost a week. And how come this wave of monsters in the Abyss territory, which was even larger than that one, escaped within 2 days of its attack? And the shuddering beast roared just now. What's going on? The more they thought about it, the more people couldn't understand it. But some Diamond Awakeners clearly noticed something was wrong with Chu Kuang. They all looked at Chu Kuang with confusion in their eyes. At this time, Chu Kuang's face was very ugly, almost as black as the bottom of a pot, and ashen. Taking a deep breath, he said with a trembling voice, "Everyone, we have fallen into a trap." As soon as these words came out, the bodies of all the Diamond Awakeners trembled slightly, their faces became uneasy, and they continued to look at Chu Kuang. The news that can make this famous iron-blooded general so moved and his voice tremble is definitely not simple. Chu Kuang gritted his teeth and said, "This unusual movement in the Abyss territory, the big monster that was promoted to the 5th level demon general, and this menacing wave of monsters are all just feint attacks. The real target of this group of monsters is the southern fortress. At this time, the most inconspicuous water swamp dangerous area, the high-level monsters that have been lurking in most of the dangerous areas near the Magic City are already killing the southern fortress. With the current defense of the southern fortress, I am afraid that it cannot be defended at all. What method did these monsters use to avoid our detection? Quote. The words fell. The expressions of all Diamond Awakeners changed drastically. His body swayed and he almost lost his balance. This group of monsters actually played this trick. Use the month-long strange actions in the Abyss territory, as well as the movement of monsters promoted to 5th level, to divert attention. Then he used unknown methods to avoid human detection. Secretly gathering most of the high-level monsters in dangerous areas, hiding in that dangerous area of the water where there are almost no second-level monsters. Just waiting for this fatal blow. And taking advantage of this short gap time when the blood-killing army, one of the 9 demon-suppressing armies directly under the Demon City, went out. This is a long-term plan, so come prepared. General Chu, what should we do now? The faces of all the Diamond Awakeners were extremely ugly, and they looked at Chu Kuang nervously. They knew that this time, the fortress in the south was probably going to be breached, or even one of them could not be destroyed. There will also be a crisis in the Magic City. Crisis. An absolute crisis. It was several times more dangerous than the hasty battle 3 years ago. After all, although it was rushed that time, the scale of the monster wave was not large, and humans could still defend it if they came straight. But this time, it was obviously different. These monsters actually started to play tricks. This was simply impossible in the past. It doesn't fit in with the monster's habit of rampaging and savagely attacking cities. On the platform, after the initial panic, Chu Kuang had regained his composure. He looked at everyone and said resolutely, Principal Feng and the others have rushed to the southern fortress. Even at this moment, the headquarters has notified all the high-level awakened people in the Demon City that they must go there no matter what they are doing in seclusion. Do not disobey the order. We must fight to the death until the blood-killing army returns. As long as the blood-killing army is teleported to Kunhua City, the nearest space teleportation location, regardless of the cost, we will have a chance to rush. No matter how big the sacrifice is, we will still have to do it. Save the Magic City. After speaking, he turned to look at the adjutant on the side. There is no need to pay attention to the battlefield here. Even if there is a possibility of counterattack, ignore it. After reorganizing, lead the remaining awakened people to catch up. The adjutant looked solemn. Yes, General. After nodding, Chu Kuang greeted the remaining Diamond Awakeners, flew back to the Magic City, and rushed to the southern fortress. At the scene, only the low-level awakened ones with uneasy expressions were left. What Chu Kuang said just now was not evasive, but was said on the spot, so they all heard it clearly. For a moment, everyone was at a loss. The real purpose of the monsters is actually the southern fortress. Why did these monsters become so smart? I thought this wave of monsters was terrifying enough, but I didn't expect that it was just a feint attack. What's the situation over there now? I just said that they are all high-level monsters, including almost all high-level monsters in most dangerous places nearby. Oh my god. Can we really hold on to our past cultivation? Don't make any noise and listen to the military's arrangements. On the mountain of monster corpses, Sumo's expression became serious. Although it was only a few words, from Chu Kuang's expression and attitude, he knew that this time, it was definitely a huge crisis in the Demon City. Even if one of them fails, he may fall. At this time, Shangguan Feiyan and Yi Xiaoshui came to Sumo's side with pale faces, as well as a confused Cheng Wushang. Sumo looked at the two women with extremely worried expressions and asked quickly, Senior sister, what's going on? The general just said that he would notify all the forces and high-level awakened people in the Demon City. Could it be that? Shangguan Feiyan bit her silver teeth lightly. Well, Shangguan's family and Xiaoshui's Yi family are going to fight. Father and others have already gone there with their people, and, according to the actions of the monster this time, it is very likely that a Demon King will come. Demon King. Sumo's eyes widened. This is the equivalent of a human being who has become a king. This time, the Demon King was actually dispatched. He was also a king-like existence among the monsters. After swallowing his saliva, Sumo's scalp felt numb. He could already foresee how tragic this time would be. Looking at Shangguan Feiyan with a worried look on his face, Sumo could only comfort him. It's okay, Senior, we humans will be able to get through it safely. Isn't it the same for so many years? Shangguan Feiyan's expression calmed down after hearing this. Yes. Yi Xiaoshui's beautiful eyes turned a little red. In the past, in any battle where the Demon King was dispatched, we humans would suffer tragic sacrifices, and this time our humans were also designed. Father and the others. At this point, she couldn't go on. Looking at the two women, Sumo truly understood at this moment that 1,000 years had passed. It is still difficult for humans to fight against monsters, so they can only survive by making countless sacrifices. Yes, they survive. They can't really survive in the face of truly powerful monsters. He shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He was still too weak to participate in a war of this level. Well, still not strong enough. At this time, after Chu Kuang left, the adjutant began to direct the scene. The garrison will stay here. After all the other awakened ones have repaired themselves, they will immediately return to the demon city with me. As for rewards, the government will liquidate them one by one after we survive this disaster. Now, return to the demon city immediately. At this time, at the first war fort in the south, an overwhelming number of high-level monsters are rushing towards them, although in terms of number, they may not be as large as the base of low-level monsters. But the scene was hundreds of times more depressing than the wave of monsters in the Abyss territory. Above the sky, black clouds were billowing, and the monster's aura was so thick that the space was blurred. At a glance, a huge and towering black figure loomed in the thick black mist, and a low and suppressed roar continued. There is not even a third-level monster below. The lowest level is all third-level monsters. And in the dense place in the center, there are human-shaped black shadows. They are standing on the sky at this moment, driving the towering black shadow below to charge towards them. Demon City. Humans, I, the evil Dragon King. Daughter here. A magnificent, low and domineering voice suddenly resounded through the sky and echoed for a long time. The thick monster's aura suddenly increased in volume the moment the sound came out, covering the sky and the earth. Everything within a radius of thousands of miles was enveloped. Ho 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 ho. The roars that shook the sky were echoed at this moment, and the demons were excited. Soon, above the southern fortress, the garrison troops who were waiting saw the thick black clouds stretching as far as the eye could see. Feeling the extremely oppressive aura, these soldiers with only silver cultivation turned pale one by one. The Diamond Realm general who had been guarding this place all year round looked even more ugly at this time, but he still managed to pull himself together and shouted, "Cheer up, don't be afraid, the headquarters has given the order, and support will be here soon. No matter what, we must resist it. Even if we die, we cannot let them step into our home. Soldiers are not afraid of death." Decidedly roared down. Be brave and fearless of death. Be brave and fearless of death. Be brave and fearless of death. Protect your homeland. Behind them, a group of armored soldiers roared, and their momentum regrouped at this time. They are soldiers, the swords that protect the country. Never back down, never. Even if you die, you will die standing up. The psychic crystal cannons were opened immediately, and thousands of crystal cannons were aimed at the thick black clouds that could not see the sky. Bang 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 bang. Groups of psychic bombs were launched at the same time, filling the sky in an instant. However, facing such overwhelming high-level monsters, almost all the big monsters in the surrounding dangerous areas, I saw that these psychic bullets could not even break through the thick black clouds outside. They seemed to have fallen into the quagmire without making a splash, and they all disappeared. Ants. At this time, the domineering deep voice sounded softly. Then he saw the towering black shadow group below, spurting out a large number of long-range attacks. There are black flames. There was lightning and thunder. There is a sharp blade of wind. There are endless waves. Endless terrifying energy bombarded towards the alloy fortress. Quick, open the protective shield. The Diamond Realm general's expression suddenly changed, and he roared, increase the energy to the maximum. Buzz. A light blue circular halo immediately enveloped the entire southern fortress, boundless and completely protected. The terrifying energy also blasted onto the protective shield in an instant. There was silence at first, and then a deafening dull sound suddenly broke out. Boom. Click click click. This protective shield only lasted for less than a few seconds before it cracked and the crack spread. And the next moment, buzz. It was completely shattered, and the remaining energy covered the entire alloy city wall with the force of a black cloud. The Diamond General roared angrily, his whole body of psychic energy erupted, and an ancient golden long sword exploded out of his hand. Aha! 1,000-foot sword energy formed by spiritual energy faced the overwhelming energy attack. Awakened ones, in addition to having supernatural powers as their basic means of attack, have opened psychic energy springs in the Golden Realm. They can also use psychic energy as a means of attack to kill enemies. Diamond Awakened ones can even use this method in various ways. To the extreme, while using spiritual energy to activate supernatural powers, he can still have enough energy to use such terrifying slashes. The Chenjiang sword chi struck above the sea of energy, once again resisting the downward pressure. Kill. Upon seeing this, General Diamond immediately roared and jumped into the air, using his B-grade golden light circle. It is a special type of protective ability. A large swath of golden light instantly formed a 1,000-meter wall, trying to resist the remaining energy. But at this moment, buzz! A black light the size of a thumb shot straight from the thick black clouds, moving so fast that it seemed to span space. PFF'd. In the blink of an eye, the black light penetrated the golden wall and the Diamond General's head. Ridiculous. From the dark clouds, another voice came, with a hoarse voice and a sinister smile. And with the death of General Diamond, the golden wall of light immediately dissipated, and the sea of energy hit the fortress wall without any hindrance. Rumble. This war fortress that had guarded the Magic City for many years collapsed on the spot. And with the massive energy attack spewing out from the thick black cloud again, it was directly razed to the ground. In an armored vehicle heading to the south of the Demon City, Sumo and others looked at the black screen in front of them and fell silent for a moment. This video of the first war fortress being destroyed made them tremble, the extremely oppressive black cloud. As if entering an uninhabited land, everything in its path was pushed horizontally. In less than an hour, 2 war fortresses were destroyed. Now it is very likely that they have reached the 3rd war fortress in the south. And the strong men in the Magic City are still on their way. Such a surprise attack, and the ability to block detection, are simply despairing. Without the 9 demon suppressing armies, can we really defend the lower Demon City? Staring at the video, Yi Xiaoshui had a sad expression on his face. In terms of high-end strength, let's not talk about whether all the strong men in the Magic City can withstand it, but let's talk about the backbone strength. Without the assistance of the 9 demon suppressing armies, it would obviously be impossible to match. Every member of the 9 demon suppressing armies, even the lowest soldier, is an awakener of the Golden Realm. And the requirements are at least B-level abilities, and they must be the kind of elites that are 1 in a million. It can be said that the backbone of mankind's fight against monsters is the 9 demon suppressing army. Now that the blood-killing army, one of the 9 demon suppressing armies directly under the Demon City, is no longer around, what can they do to compete? Driving the armored vehicle, Mr. Bo sighed helplessly. We are too eager to regain the territory. In the past 20 years, we humans have never had such a big crisis, so that we have relaxed. In the past, even if we went out to fight, we would fight with blood. The army will also station 2/4 of its strength to guard the Magic City, but this time in order to regain another treasure land, it is indeed too impulsive. But this is something we can't help ourselves. Monsters grow and reproduce much faster than us humans. Only treasure lands can allow us humans to grow up quickly. The government's desperate idea is also to win the future. In short, if you have to defend the Demon City once, you really have to think twice before taking action, alas. Treasure land. As Bo Lao finished speaking, Sumo's eyes flashed. The teacher also popularized the knowledge about the treasure land when I was in high school. This is a secret realm where spiritual vortexes can be born. It is a small independent space world. Within the treasure land, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth can be said to be extremely pure, the kind that can be directly absorbed to improve cultivation. It's more than 100 times stronger than absorbing psychic stones. It's as if you were in a world full of high-level psychic stones. You can suck them at will and practice them in an exaggerated way. Those with strong talents are even more at home in it, and can advance in cultivation by leaps and bounds. Those top-level psychic mineral veins, even legendary psychic mineral veins, are basically only likely to be generated in treasure lands. And within the treasure land, under the long-term washing of pure spiritual energy, many heavenly materials and earthly treasures with miraculous abilities will be born. The reason why human beings have been able to sustain themselves for so long and reach the current situation where they can barely survive. It was because of the discovery of the treasure land in his early years that he had the opportunity to rise. That's why the government attaches so much importance to the treasure land. Once it is discovered, it will definitely send the 9 demon-suppressing army, the strongest army, to open up Wasteland. But this time, it was obviously too desperate. Beguiled by the inertia of the monster that had been lurking for 20 years, he defeated an entire army. Thinking about it, Sumo sighed quietly. In this current situation, it is obvious that the blood-killing army cannot continue to suppress the treasure land and can only rush back to the demon city. Which is more important, the treasure land or the magic city? You don't need to think about it. Although the treasure land is important, it is the key to winning a glimmer of hope for the future of mankind. But when the roots are gone, there is nothing. Dee Dee. Dad, the call is coming. Dad, the call is coming. At this time, the high-tech watch Sumo had just bought rang, and it was still a familiar ringtone. Seeing that the call was from Yan Yun, Sumo quickly opened it. A virtual screen suddenly popped up. Soon, Yan Yun's beautiful cheeks were revealed on the video. This time, she didn't say flirty words anymore, but had a solemn look on her face. Brother, Fei Yan, are you okay? The tone was full of concern. Sumo also nodded solemnly. Teacher, the situation here. Yan Yun took a deep breath. I know everything. In just half an hour, the situation has become more and more serious. The 6 war fortresses in the south have been broken. Only the last one is left. The Magic City will directly face these groups. Monster. But the good thing is that Senior Morong and Senior Jiyu have forced the Demon King into the rest of the space. Although they are at a disadvantage, they have at least been able to isolate the biggest hidden danger. Next, the headquarters has also made up its mind and would rather sacrifice. In addition, the defensive forces of the 4 top cities will also have to spend a lot of money to send the 9 demon-suppressing armies to the past. They must protect the demon city, sacrifice the individual, and protect the greater self. Quote, Ice Lin King, Morong Chengkong. Kill the king, Jiyu Chengfang. Sure enough, the 2 powerful kings from Magic City were also dispatched. Shocked in their hearts, Sumo and the other 5 people all breathed a sigh of relief. The top power is mobilized, coupled with more reliable support. If this is the case, the losses in Magic City can definitely be minimized. Even as long as the other 4 top cities are not attacked during this period, it will be a big profit. Even if the city is attacked by an opportunity, it still has the power to protect itself, and the loss will be smaller at most. As for the other 4 top cities, like the Demon City, they were designed and surrounded by monsters from dangerous places. Non-existent. This time in Magic City is definitely an exception. You know, since the extraordinary era, monsters have not been very united. If they really all worked together to design like this time, then human beings would have become extinct long ago. So, the Demon City was designed because of the carelessness of monsters and the discovery of a treasure land. After all, who would have thought that a group of dangerous places that were at odds with each other would actually unite to devise a plan? After this time, major cities in mankind will definitely be wary of this. Of course, we still have to survive this disaster. Okay, let's just leave it to the government. You can go back to school. Yan Yun said seriously. After all, you are the hope of mankind. Even if the Demon City is really destroyed, nothing will happen to you. If you are really worried about the situation, the government has turned on the official TV, and there will be live coverage. After saying that, Yan Yun reminded him in a solemn tone, remember, don't go, just stay in school. If something happens, our Magic City University has a hidden teleportation space array that will protect you. Sumo and Shangguan Feiyan nodded at the same time. I understand, teacher. Of course, Sumo didn't know what Shangguan Feiyan was thinking, but he definitely had some ideas. After fighting for a day and night, he obtained a large number of energy points, more than the psychic mineral veins he obtained that time. Go back to school and take advantage of it before making plans. The military has said that it is best not to participate in the war if you are below the golden level, but after a wave of improvement, will his strength allow it? Soon, the armored vehicle changed direction and rushed back to Shanghai University. Bo Lao and Yan Yun have the same idea. The safety of Shangguan Feiyan and others comes first. Moreover, the master has ordered that the young lady is not allowed to go to the south. If necessary, she must even be teleported to other cities immediately. As for the young master, he had already led his team to the south, which could be said to have made him half angry to death. After a while, the armored vehicle drove into Shanghai University. At this time, many sophomores and juniors had also returned. Li Tianyi and Marongzi were also among them. This time, the two of them actually performed pretty well, but compared to Sumo, they were far behind. Even Cheng Wushang's performance was much better than the two. As special recruits from the same class, the two of them might not be able to compete with Sumo, a pervert, but Cheng Wushang kept them apart. Naturally, my heart is unwilling. At this time, Marongzi also got out of the armored vehicle, her pretty little face full of worry. The housekeeper who was following him comforted him. "It's okay, miss. Please join hands with me, Grandpa Gu, and everything will be fine." Marongzi nodded after hearing this, and then stepped into the school gate, just in time to see Sumo, who had just gotten out of the car. A pair of beautiful eyes suddenly showed a complex and unwilling look. In the last friendly match, she was the most embarrassing special recruit. He was knocked unconscious by that man and was taken away unconscious. He then stayed in his own hospital for 3 days before he could get out of bed. So embarrassing. The housekeeper next to her was a strong diamond man. He happened to be looking after his young lady when he also saw Sumo's perverted fight. At this time, the housekeeper saw his young lady looking at Sumo unwillingly, so he shook his head. After the young lady was knocked down last time, the patriarch of the family, Marong Chengkong, was not angry. Instead, he admired Sumo and said that the young lady's skills were not as good as others. He could not blame anyone. Instead, he kept praising Sumo. "I can break my own record." He even said that he must invite the chief student to Marong's house one day to take a good look at him. Feeling that someone was watching her, Sumo turned around and immediately met those beautiful eyes with unwillingness. The corner of his mouth twitched, but he still nodded. After all, they were all classmates in the future, and there was no big hatred. Superficial relationships are still necessary. Moreover, this girl was killed by him last time. I don't know how the Marong family will react and whether they will hold a grudge against me. A family with a powerful king. But after thinking about it again, Sumo felt that he might have been overthinking it. The reputation of the Marong family in the Magic City is pretty good, but that girl has an unpleasant personality and is a bit spoiled. Otherwise, there is nothing wrong with him, and he probably won't bully others. Soon, Sumo and others returned to the dormitory. "Junior, you haven't rested all day and night. You must be hungry now, right? I'm going to make something to eat." As soon as she entered Villa number 10, Shangguan Feiyan pulled herself together and whispered softly. Although there was still a trace of worry hanging in the corners of her eyes, she was obviously much stronger than Yi Xiaoshui, unlike the latter who still looked weak with red eyes. Sumo shook his head. "Senior, you are tired too. I can just eat something. Let's rest first." After saying that, he stepped into his bedroom first. In the bedroom, Sumo sat cross-legged on the bed. "System, help me block it." He is going to improve himself a lot next. In order to protect Shangguan Feiyan this time, Mr. Bo is still guarding him upstairs. If a high-star diamond awakener is not careful, he can sense something unusual even through subconscious perception. It's better to be careful. As he finished speaking, the system immediately opened the shield, and an invisible barrier immediately enveloped Sumo. Sumo immediately clicked on the character template. Host. Sumo. Cultivation. Silver Realm 5-star. Superpower. Shocking Power S+, 3-color Domineering S. Martial Skills. 9 consecutive slashes with Heavy Sword lower intermediate grade. Xiaocheng Wandering Dragon Step high grade low level. Xiaocheng Tiangong Demon Fist high grade intermediate, entry level. Energy point. 178,560. Character template. Edward Newgate character details and unlocking levels can be found in the template list by clicking on it. Looking at the energy point, Sumo was smiling. A total of 170,000. This is definitely the most I have ever done. Moreover, if most of the monsters killed this time were not first-level monsters, I might be able to obtain more. The battlefield in the south. I will definitely go. Just one wave of monsters that fainted to attack could get him 170,000 energy points. So what will be gained in the southern fort where there are at least level 3 monsters on the battlefield? Although it is very dangerous, there is even a possibility of death. But wealth comes from danger, so there is no way he would just sit back and watch. After all, this kind of opportunity may be a disaster for others, but for Sumo, as long as it is not a situation of death and no life, it's a paradise for earning energy points. And if you miss this opportunity, you still don't know when the next one will be. Therefore, he must go. Thinking about it, Sumo clicked on Whitebeard's character template. If you want to go to that battlefield, you only need to have the strength of the Golden Realm. For him who can compete with 1 or 2, if he improves a lot, he should be qualified. Shocking Power unlock level 17.1%. Overlord Color Domineering unlock level 8.2%. Armed Color Domineering elementary level unlock level 40%. Seeing and Hearing Domineering elementary level unlock level 20.9%. Taijutsu unlock level 16.1%. Sword Skills unlock level 21.3%. After a day and night of fighting, the abilities used have improved a lot. Shock Power increased by 0.1. The Color of Knowledge has increased from 20.1 to 20.9, an increase of 0.8, which is almost the same. Physical Skills went from the original 15.2 to 16.1, which is also about the same. As for swordsmanship, it has increased the most, from 20.3 to 21.3, which is just a full point. Looking at the changes on the panel, and feeling the increased strength and spiritual power, Sumo was very satisfied. Although it is not as fast as the energy points to unlock, it is still very good. As long as it can continue to get stronger, it is a good thing. Quote. Next, he began to think seriously. If you want to go to the battlefield, you must reveal your strength. The shock power he is currently exposed to is definitely unusable, and he will not improve it for the time being. And this time, he plans to hide his identity and sneak into the battlefield. Disaster is ahead, and the military is eager to have more and more manpower. So naturally I won't check for any awakening certificates, and it should be safe to sneak into the battlefield with a mask or something. Let's upgrade the weapon color first. They are at least level 3 monsters. This is no joke. Once they are besieged, their defense will definitely be enough. After thinking about it, Sumo immediately spent 60,000 energy points to redeem 60% of the progress of unlocking the weapon color. Adding the original 40.2%, you can directly unlock an upgrade to the intermediate armed color. Immediately afterwards, another 28,000 was spent to redeem 14% of the physical skill progress, reaching 30.1%. The weapon color matching technique can definitely fully unleash the close combat power. If you want to see the love, you also spent 30,000, redeeming 30% of the progress. The Overlord color is more expensive, but now that you have money, you can do whatever you want and exchange it for 2%, which costs 16,000. So far, Sumo has spent 134,000 energy points. Biggest purchase ever. His little heart couldn't help but beat fast. Shocking Power unlock level 17.1%. Overlord Color Domineering unlock level 10.2%. Armed Color Domineering intermediate level unlock level 0%. Seeing and Hearing Domineering elementary level unlock level 50.9%. Taijutsu unlock level 30.1%. Sword Skills unlock level 21.3%. Ding. Since the host's Armed Color Domineering has been unlocked to the intermediate level, the exchange price has been increased from 1,000 points to 3,000 points. Ding. Since the host's physical skills have been unlocked to 30% progress, the exchange price has been increased from 2,000 points to 4,000 points. Listening to the sound of the system in his mind, Sumo suddenly felt a pain in his balls. He has speculated before that if the ability is unlocked to a certain extent in the future, the price will increase. After all, as the progress continues to increase, the power gained will become more powerful. According to the rules of the conservation law, more will inevitably be needed. Energy points. Sure enough, after the weapon color was upgraded to the intermediate level, every 1% would cost 3,000 points. After 30% of physical skills, it will cost 4,000 points. Then when the most expensive overlord color and shocking power reach a certain level, wouldn't it be even higher? Gone. 3 great pressures. Ding. Do you want to initiate the initiation now? Listening to the system prompts, Sumo took a deep breath. The feedback this time was definitely not small. Yes. Boom. Several waves of vast power surged into his body instantly. Overlord color and domineering. Seeing and hearing the domineering. Armed and domineering. Taijutsu. The power of the physical body. Psychic power. Soul strength. Everything was being initiated, and Sumo was like a sponge, absorbing these powers without any hindrance. In particular, armed color and physical skills, after being unlocked to a large stage, are obviously the 2 most prominent points. Just talking about the weapon color, not only the defense and attack power have been improved, but also the use of skills has been continuously improved. Armed color hardening, armed color covering and surrounding, armed color exposed, etc. Time passes minute by minute. Sumo sat cross-legged on the bed quietly, the power in his body still filling his body. His psychic abilities are even rising. Silver 6 stars. 7 silver stars. This feeling of becoming stronger made Sumo intoxicated. It was not until half an hour later that these forces gradually calmed down and were completely digested. The most intuitive realm of spiritual energy has directly reached the peak of the 8 silver stars. Although it doesn't seem as exaggerated as the previous leap from 6 black iron stars to 3 silver stars. But in fact, just this nearly 4-star improvement is definitely dozens of times greater than the energy contained in that time. Before school starts, I've been promoted to the peak of silver 8 stars. Sumo sighed, feeling that he should find an appropriate time to make a high-profile statement. Otherwise, if you keep hiding it, you might be able to declare your graduation as soon as your cultivation level is exposed, right? Of course, there is no need to rush this. Everything must be done with enough self-protection. As a steady man, if you don't intend to drink, it's fine. If you take the initiative to drink, forget it. After spending another hour consolidating his strength, Sumo immediately turned on his high-tech watch. A large virtual screen immediately popped up. The official government live broadcast report was also in full swing at this time. At the same time, all mankind is watching this battle nervously. On the live screen, at this time, the last war fortress in the southern part of the Magic City was on the verge of collapse. In that world, various elemental energies and special powers were bombarding wildly. In the sky, the humanoid demon generals on the side of the extraordinary and the monsters were fighting crazily. The power of destroying the heaven and the earth almost enveloped the entire world. Each extraordinary had expanded its own half-domain at this moment. The endless supernatural power distorted the space, as if it would be shattered in the next moment. The humanoid demon generals were even more ferocious, and they sacrificed their true bodies one after another, after the power of their blood evolved into their own divine powers. They all roared and rushed into the semi-domain of the extraordinary human beings, without any timidity at all. And at the next cloud level, it is the battle of the diamond powerhouses, although it is not as shocking as the extraordinary powerhouses, and it destroys the world. But it was equally terrifying. The attack of the elemental awakener covered thousands of meters in the air. Lines of spiritual energy sword energy roared out vertically and horizontally, and when they landed on the ground, they were thousands of meters of dark ravines. The 4th level monster's body, several hundred meters tall, also stood in the void. It withstood these attacks and continued to kill the awakened human beings without fear of death. The scene was a thrilling one. If you are not careful, it could happen anytime, anywhere. There is a possibility of death. On the earth, tens of thousands of 3rd-level monsters and golden awakeners were also fighting, but it was the human awakeners who were suppressed and beaten by one side, and people were sacrificed every moment, which was very tragic. Sumo looked at this shocking scene with an extremely heavy expression. The extraordinary power of humans and the strong diamonds were able to barely withstand the opponent's 4th and 5th level monsters. But in terms of the combat power of the Golden Awakeners, it is obvious that they are being suppressed unilaterally by the monsters, and people are dying every moment. In the battle on the upper level, the Diamond Awakeners on the human side wanted to save the situation of their own Gold Awakeners. They would be killed by level 4 monsters again, unable to help at all, and could only watch anxiously as the situation below got worse and worse. In short, the war situation was very unfavorable, and the human side was once again forced to retreat to the war fortress. As a result, the last fortress collapsed and destroyed on the spot, and the monsters faced the devil's capital. All humans who were watching the battle were extremely nervous at the moment, and some ordinary mortals were so frightened that they almost fainted. Come on, Modu. Keep holding on. The 9 demon suppressing armies are ready, hold on. It's too scary. It's too scary. The noble Golden Awakener in the past is like cannon fodder, dying at will. Come on, you must withstand it. Magic City. I also want to go over and help, but it feels so uncomfortable to see the same kind of people being killed. Now we can only wait for the support of the 9 demon suppressing army. I am in the Demon City at the moment. If I can't do it anymore, I have to go to the south. Although I am only a black iron, I will never watch the Demon City fall. Brothers upstairs, don't be impulsive. In the lower left corner of the official live broadcast room, there is a barrage bar where all human beings can take the initiative to speak. At this moment, all human beings are cheering for the Magic City, and everyone can't wait to fly over to protect the Magic City immediately. Of course, they were all hot-blooded teenagers, but most of them looked pale and frightened. At this moment, the tragic battlefield seen on the video changed to the edge of the southern city of the Magic City. Everyone, the last war fortress in the south of Demon City was breached. Although our side suffered heavy losses, in the end, it was us humans who withstood the pressure, because the 9 demon-suppressing armies Fenshin, Xiaolong, Dongyuan, and Xiao have already completely arrived at the Magic City. At this moment, immediately go to the battlefield and completely kill those monsters, please see. On the video, a female officer's high-pitched and excited voice sounded, and the camera shifted to the side along with her gaze. I saw that on the wide streets, psychic armored vehicles rushed quickly towards the direction of the southern fortress. In the sky, fighter planes also flew out quickly. The most eye-catching thing is the tall and majestic figure standing on the armored vehicle and fighter plane. These figures are like blades filled with evil aura. Fierce, domineering, and tough. This is the first sense of everyone in the live broadcast room, and they are extremely shocked. The one wearing the flaming gold-patterned battle armor is the Burning Heaven Army. The Xiaolong Army in silver dragon pattern armor. The Dongyuan Army in blue sword patterned armor. The Purple Yao Army with purple and black star patterned armor. Everyone, these 4 legions are the strongest legions of our mankind. Every warrior in them is one of the elites of our mankind, a soldier among soldiers. At this moment, let us follow these warriors. Go to the battlefield together. As the female officer finished speaking, the camera immediately followed the tanks and fighter planes. Looking at the expressionless and cold figures on the camera, Sumo was filled with emotion and was shocked. Are these the 9 demon-suppressing armies? This aura and momentum are truly terrifying. He can guarantee that every demon-suppressing soldier here is an outstanding being at the same level. Because only such people can gather such momentum. The 9th Army of Demon Suppression. In the future, graduates from major schools will be challenged and selected. I'm starting to look forward to it. Smiling with emotion, Sumo immediately stood up and walked out of his bedroom. The real war has just begun at this moment. When everyone came back, it was already approaching night, so at this moment, the sky was already dark. Upstairs, Yi Xiaoshui and Shengguan Feiyan may have had their hearts tightened too much, and they hadn't slept all day and night. Not long after this moment passed, he had already fallen asleep early. Sumo quietly walked out of Villa number 10, but a figure stopped him there. Mr. Bo looked at Sumo helplessly. Little friend Su, where are you going? Looking at the old housekeeper in front of him, Sumo frowned. He knew that if he left, he would definitely not be able to hide it from the old housekeeper. After all, there is still system shielding in the sitting state, but if you leave the state, a good person is no longer there. The old housekeeper will definitely sense something abnormal. Looking directly at Mr. Bo, Sumo said softly, the battlefield. Bo Lao shook his head when he heard this and was about to speak to persuade, but the next moment, his eyes widened. Seeing Sumo across from him, a breath of Silver Realm suddenly burst out from his body. A pair of eyes like stars were looking at him fiercely. Silver Realm. Looking blankly at the young man in front of him, Mr. Bo was shocked. If he read it correctly, Sumo was still a Black Iron 6-star awakener during that monster wave, right? How come in just the blink of an eye, I got 1 silver star? Is it a hidden cultivation? Can you hide your cultivation in front of diamond experts like them? How can this be? For a moment, Bo Lao couldn't calm down. He felt that the young man in front of him was so mysterious and unpredictable. He took a deep breath and said solemnly, Su Xiaoyu, with your talent, I can't let you go to the battlefield. Such a monster, let alone the young lady's explanation. Even if it were his own decision, he would not allow him to die. Promoted to Silver Realm in 1 month. He is proficient in boxing, swordsmanship, and body skills, and his strength is outstanding. Such an incredible talent is enough to catch up with that legendary being. If nothing else goes wrong, he is definitely another powerful king, and he is also the kind of ultimate king with terrifying combat power. If Sumo died because of one of his negligent decisions, not to mention the young lady would hate him to death. He would hate himself to death. On the opposite side, Sumo stopped talking nonsense and suddenly rushed out, turning into an afterimage and instantly arriving in front of Bo Lao. The terrifying physical power and spiritual power immediately merged together, and the entry-level Tiangong demon fist was fiercely blasted out. Roar. Accompanied by a low demonic roar, the extremely domineering fist power was completely unleashed. In an instant, the surrounding air was shattered, and then with the force of thunder, it blasted towards Bo Lao's face. As a diamond expert, Bo Lao could naturally react. His old palm was like a bolt of lightning placed on Sumo's fist path. Boom. However, after receiving the punch firmly, the old housekeeper was stunned again and looked at Sumo in disbelief. Withdrawing his fist, Sumo solemnly said, I'm not the kind of person who would make fun of my own life. Don't worry, Mr. Bo. After saying that, he bypassed the old housekeeper and left quickly. It wasn't until his figure disappeared in the villa area that Bo Lao came back to his senses and sighed, what a peerless evildoer. Soon, Sumo left the school gate. Putting on a black combat uniform and a black mask, he looked particularly cold and mysterious. Stopped a taxi. Master, Southern Station Base. The master's face suddenly changed when he heard this. Brother, the South is very dangerous now. It is everyone's responsibility to protect our homeland. In his mind, Sumo added, earn some energy points by the way. Hearing his words, the master was in awe and looked at Sumo with admiration. Get on the bus, free of charge. At this time, anyone who dares to go to the South is a hero. He is just an ordinary mortal, and carrying these heroes to the battlefield is the only contribution he can make. After a while, the taxi stopped at the southern outbound station. Brother, come on. After the master cheered, he drove back to the inner city. Walking into the station, at this moment, some Golden Awakeners who had returned from other places were also rushing to the southern station. The government issued an order, and even the Golden Awakeners who went out also received the news. So even if you don't want to, as long as you reach the Golden Awakening level, you must rush to the battlefield. Following the flow of people, Sumo immediately got into an armored vehicle, because he no longer hid his cultivation at this moment. So the 10 Golden Awakeners in the car all looked at him in confusion. The 8 silver stars are also going to the battlefield. Isn't this seeking death? An older man kindly reminded him at this time, do you really want to go to the southern battlefield? The tone is more euphemistic, but the meaning is already obvious. It is everyone's responsibility to protect our homeland. After saying that, Sumo stopped talking and sat quietly on the armored vehicle. But when he said these words, the middle-aged Golden Awakeners beside him lowered their heads. Somewhat ashamed. What the hell? A Silver Awakener has this kind of realization, and they actually look reluctant. Shame on you. Thinking about it, these Golden Awakeners raised their heads again, and their eyes no longer showed resistance. But it turned into determination. Well said. The old man immediately clapped his hands and applauded. Even if I sacrifice my life this time, I must drive those beasts out of the demon city. If old guys like us are scared to death, then who else will protect mankind's future? Beside the old man, a middle-aged man with a Chinese character face couldn't help but sigh. That's right. When we were still cultivating black iron and silver, some seniors were risking their lives to protect us. That's why we can grow up to this day and live as human beings. We must not forget our roots. Now it is our turn to protect the younger generation. The few gold-awakened people who had just resisted were also infected, and they suddenly said with shameful expressions, after hearing what this silver friend said, I was really ashamed. Since when did we start to become it's not me anymore? No matter what, even if I die this time, I have to fight to the death of a third-level monster, and I must protect the demon city. The remaining anxious awakened people clenched their fists and started shouting. My son has always regarded me as a hero. This time, I will definitely be a real hero, for him and for our family. Don't be afraid. For a moment, the style of the armored vehicle, which was originally lifeless, suddenly changed, becoming passionate, and the momentum of each one continued to soar. Quote. Looking at the crowd, Sumo's mouth was hesitant to speak under the mask. Suddenly I felt a little guilty. Okay, he told the truth. He, Mr. Su, just said it casually because he didn't want to be harped on. Everyone, don't get excited. If you can survive, you must survive as much as possible. But in the end, Sumo couldn't bear to ruin the beautiful atmosphere. After all, on the battlefield, high emotions are always more important than low emotions, right? Armored vehicles quickly rushed out of the southern city area to keep up with the 9 demon-suppressing army. In the car, the old man clicked on the government's official live broadcast room. I saw in the live broadcast room that the 9 demon-suppressing armies that were the first to set out were about to arrive at the battlefield. Some of the generals of the 9 demon-suppressing army even flew away and had already intervened in the battle in Tianchong. On top of the high-end combat power, from barely contending, they began to turn from defense to offense, chasing down and killing 4th-level monsters. And every diamond-level general from the 9 demon-suppressing army can be said to be extremely cruel. The fighting power is astonishing. He can actually fight against those terrifying 4th-level monsters one by one. It is not a waste at all. A handsome middle-aged man wearing silver dragon-patterned armor fought against 3 4th-level monsters at the same time, 1 against 3. Holding a silver dragon spear, this handsome middle-aged man was covered in white light, like a white sun. At this moment, as he continued to wave the spear in his hand, the spear light instantly turned into a white light dragon and roared out. Roar! The roar of the dragon is deafening. The thousands-meter-long elemental dragon body was even more lifelike, and it seemed to be entangled with 3 4th-level monsters. The sharp spear light contained therein immediately strangled the bodies of these 4 monsters, and the latter roared continuously. At this time, a tall figure wearing a blood-patterned gold-rimmed armor came to the side of this handsome middle-aged man. It was Chu Kuang, who had been fighting fiercely for a long time. He breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. Feng, you are finally here. While strangling the 3 monsters, the handsome middle-aged man turned to look at Chu Kuang. If I don't come, will I watch you die? The handsome middle-aged man is one of the generals of the Xiaolong army. His full name is Mu Feng. Like Chu Kuang, he was a commander with a distinguished reputation. When he was young, he was a special admissions student of Imperial University. Known as the Aurora Shocking Dragon. With S-level light elements, the Aurora is magical. The existence of the peak of 9 stars in the Diamond Realm. The combat power is so strong that he has almost no opponents under his extraordinary powers. Chu Kuang grinned. Of course I know you don't want me to die. Snort. With a cold snort, Mu Feng immediately turned to look at the 3 monsters entangled by his spear-light dragon, and said coldly, you should be if you dare to invade my human territory and kill my compatriots. The extremely indifferent voice fell, and a large amount of white light burst out from his body again, like the setting sun in the sky. With the pointing of the silver dragon spear in his hand, white light shot out towards the 3 monsters. Buzz buzz. The sky-wide spear rays transformed from the Aurora Divine Illusion directly bombarded the bodies of the 3 monsters, splashing a large amount of blood. Ha ha ha. Kill. When Chu Kuang saw this, he immediately started to kill several 4th-level monsters, and his combat power was also extremely powerful. In other places in the sky, there are also such ruthless characters among the Dongyuan army, Ziyao army, and Fenshan army. Dongyuan's army is led by an old general. Although he is old, he has a sword and a strong will. He still pressed down several 4th-level monsters and beat them, and blasts of shocking sword energy roared out, killing the monsters everywhere. The leader of the Burning Heaven army was a young man, and his eyes were filled with golden light. Although he only has the cultivation level of Diamond and 3 stars, a pair of iron fists surrounded by golden flames can burn 2 mid-level 4th-order monsters until they scream and scream. The golden flames explode all over the sky, which is extremely terrifying. And judging from his age, his potential is absolutely endless. Ah! The last one was a female general from the Ziyao army, wearing a bumpy purple-black star-patterned battle armor. Although she is close to 30, she is extremely pretty, sassy and beautiful. She held a long sword and gave a sweet shout. The starlight surrounding her immediately merged into a majestic purple sword pillar. Buzz! The sound of the sword resounded throughout the world, and a powerful demon ape that was considered the king among 4th-level monsters was pierced on the spot. Fear. As these ruthless characters from the 9 demon-suppressing armies joined the battlefield, the human side immediately gained an absolute advantage on the diamond battlefield and began to chase and kill these monsters. Of course, there are also several kings on the monster side, but as more and more generals from the 9 demon-suppressing armies join, he also began to feel embarrassed. Ha ha ha, awesome. The 9 demon-suppressing armies are invincible. It's General Mew. Our invincible general in Dijing City is my senior in the last term. Okay, as long as the demon-suppressing army arrives on the battlefield, these monsters will definitely be driven out and killed. When one side is in trouble, support from all sides is our 9 demon-suppressing armies. This is our human spirit. We will never be defeated. In the live broadcast room, all the humans who saw this scene were excitedly posting barrages. They were simply more excited than the awakened ones on the battlefield. On the armored vehicle, Sumo looked at the invincible figure with shock in his eyes. Is this the difference between S-level abilities and other levels of abilities? The terrifying combat power made him almost doubt whether they existed in the same realm. They are indeed the 9 demon-suppressing armies, the sharpest blades of mankind. The group of people watched the live broadcast quietly, and the armored vehicle quickly approached the battlefield. Half an hour later, finally, deafening loud noises reached Sumo's ears. Although the 10 golden awakeners in the car were motivating each other along the way, when they arrived at the battlefield, he couldn't help but start to get nervous, and his breathing began to become heavier. Seeing this, Sumo reminded everyone, there is no need to face the monsters alone, just help the demon-suppressing army together. After saying that, he jumped out of the armored vehicle first, and then performed the dragon walk with all his strength, rushing into the battlefield like a black dragon shadow. Armed color, hardened, whispering, Sumo's body under the combat uniform immediately turned purple-black. Defense and attack power increased dramatically. In front of him, an elite warrior of the Burning Sky Army was fighting a giant 3rd-level demonic bull. The giant demonic bull was now filled with thunder, and large thunder snakes roared out, forming a thunder field within a few hundred meters. However, the soldier from the Burning Heaven Army showed no fear, holding a big sword in his hand and charging into the minefield. The sword shadows roared out one after another, canceling out a large number of thunder snakes, and finally got close to the demonic cow, raising the long sword high. Buzz! A monstrous knife shadow suddenly appeared on his long knife, and it slashed hard on the cow's body. The demonic cow groaned in pain, and one of its legs was chopped off. In the end, in less than 10 minutes, the mid-level 3rd-level demonic bull was directly beheaded to death. Just as he was about to be beheaded by the golden 9-star Burning Heaven Army soldier, a loud shout came from behind him. Brother Bing, you don't need to take action. All come. You go to support the other comrades first. In midair, Sumo's right fist combined the power of weapon color, spiritual power, and physical power. Accompanied by a loud shout, a Tiangong demonic fist immediately struck hard at the demonic cow's head. Boom! I saw that the head of the demonic cow was directly blasted into blood mist, and the ground with a radius of dozens of meters suddenly cracked open. A huge pit 10 meters deep was formed. Ding! The host killed the mid-level 3rd-level lightning demon cow and obtained 968 energy points. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.